But as usual, we'll have the countdown and the recording will kick off right at 3. You ready to go?
Thank you.
All right, here we go.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our meeting at 6:30 or plus. I hope everyone is well and safe. We'll have a roll call, please, Deborah.
Certainly. Mayor Brook?
Here.
Commissioner Sarah?
Present.
Commissioner Vignola?
Here.
Commissioner Simmons?
Here.
I know I saw him. Thank you. Vice Mayor Carter?
Present.
City Manager Babinick?
Here.
City Attorney Hearn?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to rise for a moment of silence before we have our Deputy City Manager, Melissa, lead us in the pledge. My moment of silence will be in honor of those we've lost since COVID. Thank you very much. Melissa, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Melissa. I appreciate it. It's good to see everyone.
Thank you.
And next, John, if you'd be kind enough to please read the virtual meeting statement. Got to come off of mute, John.
Thank you, Mayor.
You go.
Appreciate it. This meeting shall be held in accordance with Coral Springs Resolution 2020-16. Due to the ongoing state of emergency and the recommendations from public health authorities, the city recommends that all persons view and participate in this meeting through electronic means. We've established several of those to do that. The meeting can be viewed on City TV, Blue Stream channels 725, 25, and 25.7, as well as AT&T UVerse channel 99. It's also streaming online at coralsprings.org/citytv. Our city radio, though, is down right now, but we have those methods for you. And if you cannot access that through any of those means, the city is providing access to view the meeting on City TV outside of the Coral Springs Municipal Complex at 9500 West Sample Road, Coral Springs, Florida. If you plan to attend, please practice social distancing, wear facial covering, and do not stand closer than 6 feet to those around you. Public comment is also being received by phone and email tonight. The local call-in number is 954-344-5900. If you want to submit a written public comment, please complete the form located at coralsprings.org/public comment. Thank you, Mayor. And if you're attending physically live, there's a method provided for you to call in for public comment as well. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Our first recognition is actually a presentation of the 100 Faces of War by Jill Brown. Welcome, Jill.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Sure, go ahead. Are you showing the video, correct?
Yeah, well, our tech people will be showing it. Certainly not me.
Okay.
Very powerful.
Thank you. This was, first, I want to give a shout out to Lynn and her team over in marketing. They did a fantastic job creating 2 videos for us, one being promotional, other one's a virtual walkthrough. So we're really thrilled and excited to have those to be able to add to our website and to share with other people. Next, I also want to give a shout out to Mohammed and Mark. They both assisted us in getting this exhibition put together and getting the crates and everything moved in and painting the entire museum. So myself and the team at the museum, we painted this and have a fresh start for this exhibition and then for moving forward. It's a fantastic exhibition by the Smithsonian Traveling Team, created by Matt Mitchell, who interviewed 100 veterans from the Gulf and Afghanistan wars, and then painted their portrait and has their story by all of them next to each portrait. Every portrait not only tells their story, some of these vets are still alive, some of them have passed since he did their portraits. It's quite touching. If you get the opportunity to come over and read them, I really wish that you would. In addition to that, we have some programming that we've developed to connect to the exhibition. We have Marilyn Johansson coming in on the 29th at 6 p.m. to give a talk called Soldier Stories, and it's about her and her relationship to her family and everyone who's been part of the troops throughout, and her artwork that she does. On 11/12, we have John Bowen coming in to talk about, he calls himself an artist during war. He's going to give a talk. We're going to do those both in person and virtual. We are finalizing 2 other extensions. One's going to hopefully be a closing reception where we're going to have people from the Smithsonian virtually speaking with us. This is the last time this exhibit will be anywhere together collectively. So this is the closing exhibition for this, which is a big deal. So they'd like to speak to us about that. So we're working out the details about that. And then we have a third talk for a group out of Miami called Combat Hippies. And they are a group of Puerto Rican American soldiers that they've served from everything from the Vietnam War through the Gulf War and Afghanistan. They do spoken word. So they're going to come in and talk to us about their experiences and do some spoken word with that. So we're excited. They were in, I think it was last week, to check out the whole exhibition and get an idea of what they want to do. So we've got some great things happening over there. If you're interested in coming over, give us a call. We'll get you set up. So we have, everything in place for a healthy environment and timed visits. And as things continue to get better, and hopefully they will, we'll be able to let more and more people come in, but it's free of charge. It's great for all ages. And we're just really excited about the future of the museum and the exhibition programs.
Well, we are too, Jill, and if you don't mind sharing the number to call to make a reservation to come in, I think
Sure,
that'd be great.
Yeah. Just call our front desk at 954-340-5000, or you can go on to our website or any of our social media or even on Eventbrite, and everything's right there available for you. Or you can take a chance and just pop over, because right now we're allowing 20 people in a time slot. And if it's there's a space available, we will get you signed in and let you come on in. I will tell you another thing we're going to do is we're going to open up in later hours starting in November, so people in the evenings who are working have an opportunity to come in. So just
Great.
Stay tuned. We'll get the information out to you, and we will be sending another newsletter with more detailed information about some of the extended program that I mentioned tonight.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Anybody on the team have anything to share or questions for Jill? All right. Sean does. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. Jill, just phenomenal job. Really enjoyed that. What's the phone number that our residents can call again?
You can call us at our front desk at 954-340-5000.
Okay, thank you so much. Great job. Really
Thank you.
enjoy having you on the team, and you're doing a phenomenal work over at the museum. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And we really appreciate all the support we're getting from the city.
It's great to see and great to hear, Jill. And we all thank you. And I just wanted to highlight one thing that caught my eye and my heart, something that Chris McGurk had said on one of those, I forget what that's called, a caption, I guess, that he left a piece of his soul in Iraq. Veterans mean the world to us, and we can't say thank you enough. So this is a great tribute to our veterans.
And it is, and I can't express, it's one thing to look at the portraits, but when you read the story next to the portrait, it's quite touching. So
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Jill, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
thank you. We look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.
You got it. Next up, Commissioner Vignola has wanted to recognize a gentleman that has hosted him for office hours for many years and supplied a lot of pizzas to a lot of people in our city for many, many years. So Larry, I'll let you take this away.
So, been going to Pasquale's Pizza for a long time. In fact, I think I was there for you Miami FSU fans for the Wide Right 2 game after a game over at Second Park playing baseball. But I know a lot of people go to Wings Plus. There we go, Mayor. And for me as a kid, it was always Pasquale's and Wings. So I tried to rotate places we went to when I did things politically. But George Marone and everyone over at Pasquale's have been awesome to me over the last 10 years. Set aside an area for me. I bought every pizza there, no discounted prices or anything. But they've been great. And people come in, they come a little early, whatever. They help me schedule it out. They take care of me, and they've really done a really good job and provided a service for residents to come and meet with me and talk about things. If we have the recognition, I'd like to read it for the record. There it is. So it says, wow, it's a little small on this little screen I'm looking at here. Special recognition to George Marone and Pasquale's Pizza. It says, thank you for accommodating Commissioner Vignola's public office hours for the past 10 years at your family-owned business. Your customer service and attentive manner has been greatly appreciated and will be remembered in the years to come. And it's signed by the mayor, the vice mayor, and the rest of the city commission. So George, to you and the entire Marone family, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys have been awesome to work with over there. And again, just really means a lot to me. So that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Larry. That's very nice of you to do that for George. And like I said, they've been serving so many of our kids for so many years. I see so many celebrations, including my own soccer team many times, including last year at his places. And it's just great. And he's quite a giver in our community, too. Sean, go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank Larry for recognizing George and the family. They were our home away from home over the years with my kids growing up and playing at Mullins Park. I should have invested in the company because we spent a lot of time there. But George has given so much back to the community, and I witnessed that when I was at Terra Bella. So this is maybe a long overdue recognition, but we're very proud of George and the family and everything that they've done over the years for our city. So great job, Commissioner Vignola.
Thank you. Yeah, it's after soccer games. I know Mayor Brooke, you probably taking your teams over there after soccer games at the end of the year. They're always accommodating to everybody in the community. I actually played baseball with George's little brother, and before they expanded it, because it used to be much smaller. Before they expanded it the first time, I was down there, and his father took me for a tour of the place because his family and my family have known each other a long time, and they're just really awesome people and great community partners. And it's nice to have a business like that here in Coral Springs that's willing to always give back.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I have to do this for my kids because Agnes became part of our family. So a special shout out to Agnes at the Royal Palma store because she was awesome. It still is.
And since Catherine Givens is texting me here, I have to just chime in a little bit more about that Wide Right 2 game. I was 11 years old. I was playing in the field with an AM radio in my back pocket and the headphone up through my jersey and in the ear, and I got to see the fourth quarter over there at Pasquale's. Great experience for some of us, and for some, I know it was a little painful, but I just wanted to share that.
At least the kicker wound up being in the pros, Catherine, so you have that. All right, so next up, Larry, you have another recognition of Armando Blanco.
Yeah, so this one I've been planning since I first got elected. Mondo has been a part of this community as much as anybody. For those of us that grew up playing baseball, everybody in town, it didn't matter which league you played in, you knew Coach Mondo. And I guarantee you ask Deputy Chief McKeon, he'll tell you his stories over there at the park. And he's helped raise so many kids over the years. I was not fortunate enough to ever play on one of Mondo's teams. Unfortunately, I had to face a lot of Mondo's teams. But for many, many years, for over 30 years, he coached out there at Mullen Park. Even after his kids had gone on and finished through the program, he continued to give back to the community and be a positive influence in countless kids' lives. And I just want to read a little bit of what it says out over here, but it says, Armando, which nobody knows him as Armando that I know. Everyone knows Coach Mondo. Mondo Blanco has been a baseball coach with American Little League here in Coral Springs for over 30 years. He began coaching in 1985, where he coached his two sons until his youngest son began playing high school ball in 2004. Coach Mondo loved the game and continued to coach for the next 15 years without a son in the program. He also served on the board of the American Little League and would help wherever needed and even umpired games. During his tenure coaching, Mondo had the opportunity to coach many players, including some who went on to get drafted and play in the major leagues, such as Mike Caruso and Eddie Yarnell, both guys I knew growing up. Coach Blanco also managed 7 all-star teams that made it to the Florida State baseball tournament. Each year when baseball is about to start, his son Eric says that his dad doesn't know if he'll coach that year. But with his love for the game and passion for coaching kids, he always puts his coaching hat on and heads to the field. We appreciate all you do, Mondo. And I will tell you, one of the scariest times in my life, I was probably about 15 years old, and Mondo served on the board with my mom and dad, and he was coaching against another guy that was a staple in our community, Gary Arno. And the two of them were arguing back and forth, and they were doing it just to test me out as an umpire, and I ended up throwing him out of the game. It was kind of an interesting thing. I don't know if Mondo ever got thrown out that much, but I do know I went home that night and I was a little scared of what was going to happen. But Mondo's awesome, and Mondo, honestly, man, you're as big a part of this community as anyone's ever been. Your dedication to those kids year in and year out, every year going out there and doing the Little League opening day pitch. It's like, man, I go back there with John Amadeo, and there's Mondo out there again, and it really means a lot to have people like you that know the game and care about the kids, and not just teaching them baseball, which you definitely did. But you genuinely cared about the kids and their families. Mondo, is there anything you'd like to say, or?
I really don't know if you guys can hear me or not. But
We can hear you fine, Mondo.
it was a pleasure coaching those kids. I just wish the parents would just stay home. That's all. Other than that, everything was a blast, and I don't think I could ever replace it.
Mondo, if you can put your video screen a little bit down, we might be able to see you. I think you have to do that.
Listen, I don't know if y'all know, but I don't have an email and I don't have a screen. And this
Oh, we see you now. We see the top portion. There
I've
we
been
go.
in front of a computer. All right.
There we go.
But no, like I said, I had a blast coaching those kids, and the parents were the parents, and I just didn't listen to them. It didn't matter. The parents never played for me. The kids were the ones that played, and that's all that I cared about. And I had a blast doing it. I could never replace those years.
That's so great to hear. That's so great to hear.
I
Well,
really
we all thank you, and Larry, that's again very, very gracious of you to recognize Mondo.
It was honestly, my father and I had talked about it right after I first got elected, that I better recognize Mondo, because as the names come and go and the families come and go, the one staple that has always been there is you, Mondo. And yeah, it's honestly, it's an honor to be able to recognize you and just really appreciative of everything you've done. And I got to tell you guys, for those of you that aren't involved in youth sports or whatever, when I first ran, the first thing I did was I went and called all my old Little League buddies, and they're the ones that came out. And Mondo helped create that family atmosphere over at the park. And some of the best times of my life, I know definitely my childhood, and we're over there at the park. And yeah, man, I really can't tell you, Mondo, how much it means when I still run into people that used to play for you. People still talk about you. Even siblings. I saw Kerry Rodman not that long ago, and he was saying how, Todd had played for you back in 92 or 93 or whatever. But yeah, you really mean a lot to our community, and I really cannot thank you enough. So.
Well, I want to thank you guys for supplying everything and for the kids and what. But Larry, what I like to know is, who is your dad that let you with a phone and a microphone in your ear? Was that your dad?
Wait, what?
The guy who let you play in the game with a cell phone in your pocket and an earpiece in your ear. Who was that coach?
You're not going to believe this, Mondo. It was not my dad. It was, and they didn't know about it. It was Gary Arno.
That figures.
It was winter baseball over at Cypress, and yeah, it was Gary. He would have killed me if he.
Yeah, he probably would have if we would have known.
Well, thank you both again. And Mondo, you have a wonderful evening. And thanks again for giving all to the kids that you have. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Can I read the recognition, Mayor, please?
Absolutely. Please.
If we could put it up. It's a special recognition of Armando Mondo Blanco from Coral Springs American Little League. It says, thank you for your dedication to helping players develop their skills and to learn to have fun while playing the game of baseball. Your more than 30 years of coaching has truly made a difference in the lives of many players and families in our community. And it's signed by the mayor, the vice mayor, the rest of the commission, and myself. Mondo, thank you once again, man. I love you.
All right, our next recognition is of our Super Economic Development Office and Christy's team. I've asked for this because not only has Christy and her team been doing a great job since Christy came on board 2 years ago, they've done a lot of innovative work here in the city. They reach out not just to new businesses, but to current businesses to say thank you and find out what their needs are. And you guys have been so present, maybe even more so to some extent during COVID, despite the restrictions, that I thought on behalf of the City Commission and we all approved to recognize you and just say thank you for your dedication and your excellent work and the excellent results that you're providing for our city. So I know, Christy, I believe you're accepting this recognition.
I am. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. We've really just been doing our jobs. We had to pivot slightly, but we've been able to, still reach out to local businesses and help them. I couldn't do it without my team. I have the best team. They work tirelessly for our local business community. Since COVID happened, the work they did on the Back in Business grant program was incredible. The ability to get that 250 grants out in the time that we did, I couldn't have done it without them and without other people in the city, of course. Deanna Scarpetta and you, Subra, are on the call. So if you guys want to turn your cameras on and just wave.
Their cameras are on. Great.
All right. They've been wonderful. We're finally getting back in the office a little bit. We're finally getting to meet some businesses and go out to do some retention visits in person. So that's been really, really great. But just during this time, I mean, manning the hotline alone has been great. Hearing from the local businesses and trying to reach out to them. We've been a shoulder for them to cry on, and we've been a source of information. And we love what we do, and I think that's why we work so well together. So thank you.
You're welcome, and it does make such a big difference to love what you do, and you guys really do make a wonderful, wonderful team. And really, on behalf of all of us, I just want to give you our greatest gratitude and thank you. And please keep up the excellent work.
Thank you.
Is there something to read? Yes, awesome. So this is our special recognition of the Economic Development Department. The City of Coral Springs Commission is proud to recognize the Economic Development staff for their outstanding contributions throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Your commitment to improving the local economy through attracting and retaining businesses continues to be a vital service to our community. Signed by all 5 of us on the team. And again, thank you so much. So,
thank you. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Simmons, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say to Christy and you and the entire economic development team that we still need to grow, of course. We definitely, since you showed up here, we have put the world on your shoulders. And I know at times it can be, a little wearing just because there's so much happening. Then it didn't help that we had the national pandemic that kind of sent a lot of what you do into a bit of a spiral. But, we are very appreciative that you've been here, and we know that you will deliver as best as you can, and that You look forward to the challenges that we present to you. And, we're just grateful that you have taken such an aggressive approach to representing our economic development office, as well as making sure that we look like what we want to look like as a city when it comes to our economic development. And I know in the beginning, when you first got here, I was very adamant about I wasn't the only one, but really adamant about, just being more business friendly and being more concerned with our businesses and making it easier for our businesses to operate here. And you've definitely taken that challenge on. So just wanted to say thank you and to your team and you who always greets us with a smile. I mean, a beaming smile. So just congratulations again and thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vignola, and then back to me.
Christy, you've done an amazing job over the years and how economic development looked here in Coral Springs. You've modernized it. You've been aggressive at helping our small businesses grow. There used to be a push as if we were going to go ahead and bring in all these big businesses from everywhere, and economic development, true economic development, like 99% of it comes from within your own area. And you've done an excellent job at targeting our businesses, reaching out to our businesses and finding out. I mean, Floor Foods is a perfect example of helping a small business that's growing and getting bigger. But you really have done a great job. And we talked about back in beginning of 2017 and hiring a new city manager, and we went through the interviews. I know it was a big discussion on economic development, try to make that right. And I think you've done an excellent job, you and your team, on doing really tremendous work here in our community. We're really, really grateful to have you. So congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you.
Commissioner Simmons reminded me that when I was on the commission many, many years ago, I had always really sought for this get to yes mentality for our small businesses. Get to yes, get to yes. And you have gotten to yes. And if there's a way to get to yes, you help get to yes. And that kind of leadership for our community and our small businesses in particular, you can't beat. So thank you again.
I certainly don't do it alone. I mean, we couldn't get anything done without amazing city management and senior staff. This is, the greatest city. I love working here. I love representing the city. Everybody works together and there's a real sense of teamwork. So I think the getting to yes and supporting the local business community is a citywide effort.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And that brings us to a conclusion for recognitions and proclamations and presentations. Next up is public comment. And I know we have a couple of signed speakers. Deborah?
Hi, Mayor. Yes, we do have quite a few signed speakers. However, they're not under public comment. They are for the public hearings.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So just making sure we don't have any public comment for this portion of the meeting before we go on to item number 5.
Okay.
So we've got that confirmation. I don't see anything to the contrary. So we will now start with item number 5. And I understand that there's a desire to continue this to a date certain for December 16, John.
You're correct, Mayor. Mayor, this is McDougall Technical Institute has requested special exception and conditional use to allow a private trade school and accessory dormitory in the medium density family RM20 and community business zoning district at 3251 Northwest 101st Avenue. They are requesting a motion to defer this to the date certain of December 16th at the City Commission meeting that evening. So if we could have a motion to defer to the date certain of December 16th, that's what we're looking for.
Okay, is there a motion to defer?
Move to defer.
Moved by Commissioner Vignola, seconded by Vice Mayor Carter. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next is item number 6. This is a special exception regarding Rising Tide Car Wash.
Correct, Mayor. Item number 6 and has a companion item for sign variance, which is item 7. So I will read both into the record. Anyone that wants to discuss either one of these two items could do that at a combined public hearing. And I do know the petitioners here as well, so I will read them into the record. The first one is a request to hold a quasi-judicial hearing and public hearing to approve petition of Rising Tide Car Wash for a special exception from sections 250567 uses permitted and 250127 easement encroachments of the land development code relative to construction and operation of an automated car wash as a main permitted use to allow sidewalk improvements in an easement in the community business B2 zoning district located at 10340 Royal Palm Boulevard, legally described as Lot 6, Royal Springs, out parcels being a portion of Parcel A, Royal Springs, and authorize the city attorney's office to draft an order approving SC 2008 and adopt that order. To request to hold a quasi-judicial hearing, which has been waived. So, Mayor, we're looking to do a public hearing, approve, authorize, and adopt. The companion item is a sign variance, and that's a request to hold a quasi-judicial hearing, public hearing to approve petition of 10340 J&D LLC for a sign variance from sections 1805 permanent signs and 1807 basic building wall sign design schedule relative to allowing increases in height and square footage for directional signs and allowing increase in the maximum height of a logo on a wall sign, and denying 1808 basic monument sign design schedule, which I think we're going to find out has been that request has been removed for an increase in the number of maximum square footage of the monument sign for community business B2 zoning district located 10340 Royal Palm Boulevard, legally described as Lot 6, Royal Springs out parcels, being a portion of Parcel A, Royal Springs, authorized city attorney's office to draft an order approving SV 20-01 and adopt said order. The quasi-judicial has been waived. It's request to hold a public hearing, approve, authorize, and adopt. And I believe community development will have a presentation first.
That's good.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Julie. Good evening.
How's that? Good?
Yes.
Okay. So as Mr. Hearn mentioned, there's two separate requests going on here this evening. I'll walk through the special exception first, and then we'll come back and talk about the sign variance, and then we'll go through some of the conditions that we're recommending for both of these items this evening. The property is located on Royal Palm Boulevard. It's a little east of Coral Springs Drive. For those familiar with the area, this building here is Walgreens. This is a church that used to be a bank. 7-Eleven is just, you can see just a little bit of the property here in the corner, and here's Bravo, a little bit to the north here. The property is a little over 1 acre in size and is vacant right now. It's near the neighborhoods of Maplewood here, single families to the south, and then Cobblestone Walk is just to the east of it, and they're separated by this retention area here. It's about 75 feet in width, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Rising Tide, they employ individuals that are on the spectrum, help them find employment when they otherwise might not be able to. They have two locations right now. One is in Parkland and one is in Margate. I know I cannot do justice to explain how great of a company this is, and I know that's included as part of their presentation, so I'm definitely going to let them go through that a little bit more when they come up. But I just kind of wanted to walk you through the site plan as a whole before we get into the specifics of the requests today. The kind of lighter whitish box here, that's the actual automated car wash that they're requesting to install. It's about 3,000 square feet in size, a little bit under. There will also include 19 vacuums, and those will be within these parking spaces that you can see here. That'll be on the west side of the property. There's one main entrance and exit that comes in, that's right down here. This is that main drive aisle that's existing that you can take off of Royal Palm to get, right now it's existing to get there to Walgreens and the other businesses. They are proposing to be open 7 days a week, and that the hours will be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. This site is different from their other two locations in that they won't have detailing on site like the other ones do. They do also have enough inbound stacking and outbound stacking so that we don't think traffic will be a problem for people coming to use the site. And when you hear us talk about the entrance and the exit, this is actually the entrance here on the south side of the car wash, and then this will be the exit. So and I refer to those in a little while. So as John mentioned when he read the title, there's two special exceptions here this evening, one related to the use itself and then the second related to easement encroachments. Now, as I mentioned, the property is Zone B2, which is our community business section, zoning district, excuse me. And automated car washes are allowed within this district. What makes this request needed is that they're allowed right now as an accessory use with a car wash, or a car wash with a gas service station, excuse me. So the request before you this evening is to allow the car wash to stand on its own and be the main permitted use for this site. They are meeting all the buffer requirements. They're actually exceeding it in a few areas. The building itself is oriented north-south, which will help with some of the noise that would go on to the properties to the east, as well as the building is acting as a buffer for the vacuums as well. And there won't be any openings to the building itself on the east or the west sides of it. When we started working with applicants on this as part of our site plan review and their submittal for the special exceptions, they provided us with acoustical studies. First, they looked at the noise that's already found on site, because there's always ambient noises that are on sites relating to traffic that's nearby, or even in this case, you have the fountain for the water feature that's there just to the east. So they measured those ambient noises, and then they also measured the sounds at their Margate location. And that was so that we could make sure that with these improvements that they're doing to the site, that they still would meet the city requirements for our noise, our maximum noise amounts. We've also recommended a number of conditions just to help make sure that those noise limitations are being met. And when we had our noise consultant who is here this evening as well, in case you have any questions of him later, he did find that even with the improvements, that the noise that would be associated with this project would either be at or below even the existing ambient noise that's going on right now. Relating to the easement encroachments, you can see there's three different areas here on the site plan that I've shown. These are walkways and part of the drive aisle there that's encroaching a little bit within utility easements that are on the site. It's a little hard to tell on this one, but on your paper copies, I'm sure you can see there's a large easement here on the property, and then there's another 15 to 20 foot easement that wraps around. So there's a number of easements on this property that makes it more difficult to develop. Staff did not have any concerns with the little bit of walkways that are encroaching within these areas. And then they will need to receive approval from the various utilities in the water district in the city, just to make sure that they're okay with those going in there. So with that, they are requesting for the special exception under the first criteria, in that literal enforcement of the code would produce a burdensome hardship. And we do believe that they met this criteria. This will provide another additional service to the community. We definitely want to be a full service city for our residents. There are quite a few car washes along Wiles. There's definitely less within the south side of the city. And in looking at the automated car wash, there's only about 2 or 3 even south of Sample Road. So not only does it create another disservice for our city, but it also is creating jobs. They're meeting and exceeding all buffering requirements, as I mentioned, and we have included a number of conditions, which I'll walk through in a minute. So shifting to the sign variance request, there's 3 components to this request as well, relating to the directional signs, the wall sign, as well as the monument sign. They're proposing 3 directional signs. You can see they're all here at the entrance on the kind of the northwest side of the property. Here's what they'll look like. The code allows for up to 30 inches in height, excuse me, and what they originally proposed was 48 inches. Staff recommended 36 inches would be more appropriate, especially somebody sitting in a vehicle would still be able to see what the sign was trying to depict. And my understanding is they are in agreement with staff's recommendation on this for 36 inches. There's 1 wall sign proposed. You can see right here at the star. This gray box here is what we're calling a fin architectural feature that's towards the front of the building here. The original request included this fin height being at 37 feet 10 inches, so just about right under 38 feet tall. You can see that it will face to the east and the west, the sign itself. It's a little different than a lot of the signs we have in the city in that you can see it's actually cut out of the wall itself. They were also proposing that the overall building's sign size, be 5 feet tall for the logo, as well as a car wash sign at about 2 feet tall. And just to give everyone an idea of, you know, what those sizes mean, you know, we can throw out numbers all day long, but it always helps to have a reference point for it. The Kohl's sign at the mall, that is 48 inches, and the Costco sign, which also received a sign variance, is at 60 inches at that largest letter. So that kind of gives you an idea of how the size of this would be in relation to the wall itself. We did have some concerns with the sizing, which I'll get into in a minute. We also wanted to make sure that they had the best amount of visibility for their site as well. And with the way it was originally proposed, there you can see here in the gap here in the middle, there was quite a bit of area which we felt would not be able to be seen by passerby, whether it be in their car or a pedestrian. They wouldn't be able to see that sign when they got to a certain point in front of the building. So staff's recommendation was to drop the fin height about 5 feet in height. This was not only a concern raised by staff, but also this was held a lot of discussion at our architectural review committee, as well as our planning and zoning board. We wanted to make sure that not only was the building in scale with the sign itself, but also with the surrounding buildings. Again, to give you an idea, Walgreens itself at the top of that tower feature that it has is at about 35.5 inches. So you can see this will be just a little bit lower than that. We also recommended that the car wash portion of the sign be moved to either on top of or below the canopy. You can see here we depicted it just below the canopy to give them an idea of what that would look like. And I should mention that this logo sign is not lit, and it's not lit in staff's recommendation either, nor did they ask it. So you can see by moving that car wash sign and facing it perpendicular to the roadway, now they have 100% visibility for people that are looking for this brand new business in Coral Springs that we're excited to have.
Julie, can I interrupt you just for 1 moment?
Sure.
And that's a good slide, actually, that next one. Because you said people would enter from the south end.
They'll enter the site from here on the north side, but you would enter the building.
Oh,
Yeah, and then the building you would enter on the south side.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it. That makes sense. Thank you.
And then the third request for the sign variance before you this evening is for a single tenant monument sign. As many of you know, within the code, it requires at least 400 feet of property frontage or a certain size, square footage of building in order to have a single tenant monument sign. We have continued to work with the applicant the whole time. It's not that they can't have a monument sign. They can do a multi-tenant sign, which we've continued to work with them on. I'm happy to say that they have reached one that meets code. And it meets their needs. I mean, that's one thing for sure. We want to meet not only our neighborhood needs, but also the needs of our business. And my understanding is they'll be withdrawing the request for the monument sign this evening when they come up. So staff does believe that the wall sign and the directional signs with staff's recommendations meet the sign variance criteria. It makes them much more compatible with the surrounding community, both the commercial and residential neighborhoods nearby. It also makes the sizes much more appropriate for the building itself. It's not a very large building. The fin, reducing that down and relocating some of the signage really helps put it in scale with the building. And everything will be designer, so that definitely is achieving that excellence in graphic communication. So with that, as I mentioned a couple times, we do have a number of conditions. For the special exception, conditions relating to noise impacts. Again, we're recommending that the car wash itself, as well as the vacuums, be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., which is in line with the hours of operation applicant was requesting. That inline silencers be installed on the blowers. That an 11-foot high wall be installed adjacent to the east side of the building, and that would be at that tunnel exit. So again, that would be on the north side of the property when people are coming out to exit back out onto Royal Palm, adding an additional 11-foot high wall there to help with the sound for the residents to the east. We also provided 4 additional options, which they could choose one of to help mitigate on the south side. And the applicant has chosen, from my understanding right now, they're choosing to go with option D, which is reducing the size of the tunnel opening, which again will help with the noise that's coming out of the building there. That mufflers shall be installed on the vacuum machines. Dumpsters be serviced within the hours allowed by city code. There'll be additional landscaping installed on site in order to help buffer everything, as well as they'll be installed a little bit higher. And as you know, that's a typical condition we include with many items that come before you for conditional uses and special exceptions. They will not have hand car wash services on site, as I mentioned, and that it be developed in accordance with the attached site plan. The conditions relating to the sign variance, the staff is recommending, again, for the directional signs, we're recommending a maximum height of 36 inches, that the wall sign, the fin be reduced about 5 feet to be 32 feet, 10 inches, and that the car wash sign be relocated to on top of below the canopy. We're also recommending denial of the monument sign. Again, though, my understanding is the applicant will be removing that request this evening. We're recommending that these variances do not run with the land and may not be transferable, that it's specifically for Rising Tide, and that all these approvals are contingent on approval of the special exception. That concludes staff's presentation. As I mentioned, I know the applicant has one as well.
Great. So, but I'm going to allow the commission to ask you any questions they have right now. If they prefer, it's up to you all. Go ahead, Commissioner Vice Mayor.
Julie, I just want to confirm that the east side of the building, it's a solid, I think you said 11-foot wall. Oh, no, the 11-foot wall was the exit wall.
Correct. The wall that we're recommending, oh, sorry, I'm trying to go back to the beginning, that we're recommending be added, the entrance is an 11-foot wall, but so that would be this wall here. That's what we recommended. But yes, this side of the building is a solid wall.
Sealed. So everything is sealed or just a wall?
I just want to make sure there's no windows up top. I know there's no door. But make sure on the east elevation, yeah, there's no windows or anything like that. There's one door to that storage area that's right here, but other than that, there are no openings along this east side. I think you're
anything else, Vice Mayor?
Sorry, I didn't realize I cut myself off. Thank you. The landscaping that's buffering the wall, the 11-foot wall. So I'm assuming that at a minimum, the landscaping is 11 feet high. Is that correct? Or we're waiting for it to grow?
We're actually recommending that any trees be installed at 14 to 16 feet.
Oh, okay. That's good. All right. I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Great. You're welcome. Anybody else at this time for Julie? All right, I don't see anybody, so great. We'll have the petitioner then.
Mr. Mayor, this is Dennis Mealy. Can you hear me okay?
We can, Dennis. Good evening. Nice to see you.
Thank you. So Dennis Mealy, 200 East Broward Boulevard, on behalf of the applicant, although right now I'm sitting in my family room in Coral Springs. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about who Rising Tide is, and then we'll get into the details about the site. So whoever's advancing the slides, if they could go to the next one, please. Thank you. Oh. Looks like
finally tonight we have an update on a story that touched a lot of our viewers. 3 years ago, we met a father who opened a car wash as a place where people with autism can find a steady job, including his own son. Now, our Harry Smith heads back to find that business is booming in our Inspiring America report.
Business is good at the Rising Tide Car Wash in Parkland, Florida. How good? Really good, says owner Tom Derry.
We moved the wash from 40,000 cars a year when we bought it to 160,000. That's a quadruple inside of 3 years. You can't do that without a great staff.
A staff primarily comprised of people on the autism spectrum, including John Derry's son, Andrew. Andrew and his colleagues pay meticulous attention to detail.
Their attitude is strong, and nothing can beat that. Speed and quality.
What some might have called Derry's Folly is turning into a scalable business. 4 miles down the road, a second Rising Tide Car Wash is under construction. With nary an ad, they have received more than 700 job applications.
Did you set out to be the Johnny Appleseed of autism employment?
No. I set out to help my son and others like him have a life.
The sense of confidence.
Derry and his other son, Tom, are spreading the news with a TED Talk, lectures and seminars in a dozen cities, and even testimony at the UN.
Great job on the rims, Jonathan.
Managing this is not easy. The learning curve is constant.
We want to reinforce positive behavior over the course of the day.
Good job, man.
The rewards can't even begin to be measured. The guys at the car wash have formed a community. They even hang out together on Friday nights. Andrew is a new man.
He's motivated, and motivation is something Andrew never had, but is key to a life, right?
And you know what they say about a rising tide? It lifts all boats. Harry Smith, NBC News, Parkland.
So since that report, you saw the construction of the Margate car wash, which has now been open for a while. And if you've been over on 441 and you've seen it, you see what we're doing there. We've started this effort in 2011, opened in Parkland shortly thereafter. You have a number of letters in the backup for your item tonight. And one of the ones that really struck me was a letter from the secondary director of the Broward County School Board Exceptional Student Learning Support Group. And they talked about how many students in the Broward County school systems are on the autism spectrum, and that they try to get them jobs. When they're turning 14, they're thinking about when they're going to be 21. So we've taken a number of graduates of that program and have working in our facilities now in Parkland and in Margate, and we would want to see them here also in Coral Springs. And these are just some letters that we've seen over time from different people that we're working with, different schools, different elected officials from different communities, and also people that have participated in our program. So Thomas, can you go back to the slide that talks about the unemployment? And then we'll get right into some of these others. So 80% of people with autism are unemployed. That's a statistic that when you saw John on that screen a minute ago, that was something he was really trying to reduce that number. Thomas, can we go to the next slide, please? So we have currently 80 people with autism employed at our 2 car washes. Now, keep in mind, this is not the type of car wash where you have a bunch of people out in front drying off cars, as you do see in some places. This is largely an automated system. There's a staff of 4 or 5 on duty at any one time, and a lot of it, as I mentioned, is automated. Go to the next slide, please. So over time, we've employed over 170 people with autism. 75% of them have moved on to bigger, better jobs, paying more money, or gone back to school for higher education. And that's really what we're trying to do, is put people on a career path. If we go to the next slide, please. These are just some of the recognitions. You saw the Lester Holt NBC News nightly news report we showed, but there have been a number of different magazine articles and other recognitions of the great work that Rising Tide is doing. If we can go to the next slide, please. These are just some of the organizations that we partner with. We get employment applications sent to us by some of these organizations. They send people our way. As you heard on that report, before the Margate car wash even opened, we had hundreds of applications for people that wanted to come and work there. If we go to the next slide, please. These are just some of the letters I know we showed a moment ago. These are in your backup as well, so I won't spend a lot of time on them, but we've got a lot of great reports from folks. All right, so this is the site plan. I guess the difference between ours and the one that Ms. Krolak showed is now Royal Palm Boulevard is on the right, and you know that's where that little frontage road comes in off Royal Palm that serves this property, the Walgreens property, the church property, etc. So you come in off that, off of Royal Palm, which would be on the right-hand side of this drawing. You come in on that frontage road, and you could go straight to continue to go to Walgreens or the other businesses, or you turn left to come into our site. And so, as was pointed out earlier, that east side and the west side of the buildings are enclosed. There's an opening at the south and an opening at the north. It's a low and opening that, you know, it's only high enough that you can get the cars in and out, and only wide enough for the cars to get in and out. So this is a completely enclosed building. The 11-foot wall that Ms. Krolak was talking about, you see a little wing wall kind of right next to the exit from the car wash. And that wing wall was a little bit lower when we first planned it. We've now raised it to be the full 11 feet, just to provide more sound attenuation for cars that are exiting the car wash. If we can go to the next slide, please. So this is a quick video just showing as you drove into the site what it would look like. It only lasts about 90 seconds. So before we go to the next slide, I do want to point out that the video you just saw still had the old signage on it. That was before we changed it to comply with the staff request. So I want to point out that we have modified our plans and that we concur with every single one of the staff conditions on both the special exception and the sign variances. I'll show you in a minute that we are withdrawing our request for a variance for a single tenant monument sign because we've been able to work out the details on a multiple tenant monument sign, which doesn't require a variance. It's allowed by code. So all of the things that were requested for us to change, we have changed. I want to thank the staff. I also want to thank Dr. Kasheri and Mr. Gaboski because their recommendations were actually good ones that once we understood them, we've implemented them and included them in the plan. If we can go to the next slide, please. So this is now showing with the reduced fin height, instead of 37 feet and 10 inches, now 32 feet. Instead of 37 feet and 5 inches, 32 feet and 5 inches. As Ms. Krolak mentioned, that logo, which is the puzzle piece that we all associate with autism and the little wave underneath it, that's the rising tide. And so that is just a cutout in the stucco. You can actually see through it. So it's not illuminated, it's not a letter or anything, it's just a cutout in the stucco itself. And then of course the words car wash have now been moved to the location that was recommended by your staff and Mr. Gaboski. So that was part of our compliance with all of the staff recommendations. Also, the tunnel entering car wash was lowered to 8 feet. That was one of Dr. Kasheri's recommendations, and we have accommodated that. And again, that was designed to reduce noise. Now, I do want to point out that on these sound studies that we do, you look at what is the existing sound in the area today. And as Ms. Krolak said, most of that comes from traffic on Royal Palm Boulevard. Then we went over to the Margate location to measure any sound that came from the car wash itself. And the car wash sound is less than the road sound. And that's what you try to achieve. And also with these improvements that Dr. Kasheri recommended that we've implemented, we will be within all of the city's requirements for sound. We will meet the code. If we go to the next slide, please. So this is a view from the south, and you see the 8-foot wall that's on the back of the property now. And then if you can see that little gray rectangle kind of in between the trees there, that's how we kind of superimposed our building in the background on this slide. And our building is not very tall. So the point here is, first of all, no one from the south can see into the car wash. In other words, they can't see the tunnel because it's 8 foot high and the wall's 8 foot high. But even if you look at the total height of the building, it's just that little gray rectangular thing sticking up there. Obviously, we will be putting in additional landscaping. This is just showing you what's there today. We'll also, I promise you, clean up that canal bank It doesn't look too good right now. Of course, we haven't closed on the property yet, but we will be very shortly. If we can go to the next slide, please. So this is just showing you if you were from the north, if you're on the north side of Coral Ridge Drive and you're looking towards our building, you kind of see it in the center there on the south side of, I said Coral Ridge Drive again. I meant to say Royal Palm Boulevard. You'll see us on the south side of Royal Palm Boulevard. If we can go to the next slide, please. And then this is a view from the east looking to the west. And so, Vice Mayor, you had asked earlier about that eastern wall. You see it's a completely enclosed wall. Even the one door that Ms. Krolak mentioned is just a pedestrian door for someone if they have to get into the storage room. But, you know, we'd keep that closed other than when someone's going in or out. And then you see that little wing wall that's kind of the tan rectangular wall beneath the fin. And so, you know, that was raised to the 11-foot height to make sure that as cars are coming out of the car wash, you don't see them and you don't hear them. Do we have one more slide, Thomas, or is that the end of it? Okay. Oh, yes, here we are. So we had originally proposed, and I think this is the same slide Ms. Krolak showed you, we had originally proposed this sign, and the city informed us that you cannot have a single tenant monument sign with the amount of frontage we have. So Thomas, if you can go to the next slide. So we have other businesses that are on that same frontage road as us. And if they want to join us on this sign, they can do so. And so this sign would meet the code and would not require a variance. And we're perfectly happy with this. So we are withdrawing our request for the single tenant monument sign variance. One other thing I want to point out on this sign, you see our address on the side panel. Once we determine who the other tenants will be, if it's Walgreens, if it's the church or whoever, then we will have the address range instead of just the one address on that side. Similar to what the city does on some of those signs I've seen along University Drive, where you kind of give the address range for the block. We would do that on this little side panel with our address and whatever other addresses go on those two future tenant locations. I believe that's our last slide, Thomas. Am I right, or is there one more? Oh, that's it. So we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. I want to repeat for the record that we are in compliance and in agreement with each and every one of the staff recommendations on both items. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. At the end of the public comment period, I'd like the opportunity to respond as appropriate. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Dennis. You know, usually I'm kind of a poker face with this kind of thing. No poker face for me. I'm so delighted. But we have we've waived the quasi judicial. So is there anyone from the public that wishes to be heard on this and not yet affected parties? Do we have anyone from the public that wants to be heard on this?
Mayor, it's Deborah. We have quite a few people. I'd like to check first with Robert. I believe he has someone on the line.
Great.
And Mayor, while Deborah's doing that, there are no one that signed up as an affected party whatsoever.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. So if we have a few, I'm going to take a break in a couple minutes, and Vice Mayor will handle it while I step out.
Hello, my name is Maureen Ward. I am a resident of Cobblestone Walk, which is the community that is to the east of this proposed building. Basically, our community, which has 48 families, was just told about this project approximately 2 weeks ago. I am a nurse for 40 years. I am very impressed with the goal of, with the autistic family and their ability to have these options available for them. My concern and concern with all the other residents of Cobblestone Walk is how it is going to change our lives and our way of life because of this building, because of the increased traffic. When you were talking about the other sites that you have, those sites are on 441. Talking about Royal Palm Boulevard and Coral Springs Drive, where it is a slower traffic, there's not as much traffic. You're talking apples and oranges. So we are concerned about, like I said, the sound concern, which I was listening, and it sounds like you have put in options that will decrease that. But we're concerned about the sound, the lights, the foot traffic, also the wildlife that we have in our community, and that also affects the site that you're building on, is quite extensive. Turtles, ducks, egrets, all of the different kinds, squirrels, all these turtles, all these different kinds of wildlife take part in the lake and also on the lot that you are planning to build this monstrosity, it seems to us. Unfortunately, I don't have the plans in front of me, seeing what, so it's hard for me to picture exactly what is going to be done. And also it sounds like the gentleman said the closing is next week. So it's kind of frustrating to myself and others that this whole process is basically all done, and now this is our only time to give our input. Concerning, if somebody can go over concerning the wall that will be built on the east side, the one that's going to be most affecting us. If somebody can describe that for me, I would appreciate it. Hello?
Yeah, we understand we're still in the public hearing, and at the end of the public hearing, if we have answers to your questions, we will answer them. Are you asking something of the petitioner?
Yeah, she asked if you could describe the wall on the east side.
If what can occur?
If the petitioner could describe the wall on the east side, if she didn't have the visual.
Okay. Dennis, are you able to?
Sure. It's a solid wall, just like the wall of the building. And it will be, we'll have landscaping in front of it, just as the city requires you to do. And Mayor, I can address the other things, or I can wait until the end of all the public comment if you'd like me to.
You may as well. You have the floor.
So my question is does this wall start all the way in the southeast corner of the lot and goes straight to the to where the street is, so that it is fully enclosed and there's no way that people can cross from the car wash to our property?
So first of all, the wall that we're talking about is an extension of the wall that's the east wall of the building itself. And it goes, I don't know if we want to put the site plan back up. I guess it might be, or either that or that last elevation we had to see it, but it's the whole building. And then going beyond that front or northern edge of the building is this additional 11-foot wing wall to hide the view and the sound of cars coming out of the car wash.
Okay, so will there be a wall that is at the end of the building going all the way to the canal? And
no.
The wall that's present near Walgreens?
The wall that's on the rear side of the property will stay there. I showed a picture of that. And then on the east side of the property, the wall is the actual wall of the car wash itself. And then east of that car wash, eastern wall, is just all landscaping. So there's no activity over there. There's a small sidewalk that leads from the back of the building to that pedestrian door I talked about earlier. The only person that would be using that sidewalk is someone that works at the car wash. But everything on the east side is all landscaping all the way up to the lake.
Okay, but the concern that we have is that the ability of foot traffic, whoever is coming to your car wash, is going to be able to cross into our community, our residential community, since 1997.
Dennis, to avoid the back and forth, I'm sorry, Ms. Woods. Usually we have 3 minutes for public speakers. So we've definitely gone longer with you. I'm not sure how many there are. We're certainly not hoping to be here past 10:30, if even that late.
Okay.
So Dennis, I'm going to wait to have you listen to all the public speakers, and then you can just take notes when all the public speakers are done. So Ms. Woods, I'll give you another 30 seconds.
That's fine. I will give it the time to the next person.
Great. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And Deborah, I'll welcome one more speaker, and then I'm going to hand it over to the Vice Mayor.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to read the next public comment into the record. It's from Krista Hadid, 2929 North University Drive in Coral Springs. Good evening, and thank you for granting me the opportunity to share my support for Rising Tide Car Wash. My name is Krista Hadid. I am a speech language pathologist and Coral Springs native. I would like to speak in support of Rising Tide Car Wash and its efforts to open up a car wash in Coral Springs. As a speech language pathologist, I've seen the desperate need for learning and job opportunities for teens and adults with special needs. I've been a patron of Rising Tide at their Parkland location and have seen firsthand the amazing work they've done to support this need. I wholeheartedly support bringing Rising Tide to Coral Springs and hope that the Commission sees the value in the work they do and the many opportunities this will bring to our community. We as a city have the ability to open so many doors for individuals with special needs and their families by supporting this business. Thank you for your time.
And do we have another speaker lined up?
We have quite a few.
Yes.
The next would be Robert.
I have the next caller on the line.
Okay. Please go ahead, state your name and your address.
My name is Eugenia Fikes, 10154 Royal Palm Boulevard.
Go ahead.
Can I talk?
Yes, please go ahead.
My question was about the solid buffer. Why do we not have a solid buffer between the commercial property and the residential property, the same like the one that is on the east side of the Walgreens Plaza, on the south side?
Okay. And is that your only question?
The buffer, and I had questions about the signs, but they were answered during the presentation, so I was happy with that there will be no sign 37 feet high and all that other stuff. I have main concern about the noise. We purchased this property with a lake view and a peaceful enjoyment of our properties. When I'm sitting on the weekends watching the lake, now I have to listen to the noise from the car wash. And I understand that it creates jobs, that it's a good cause, but still, I'm a homeowner. It will bring my property value down, and I'm concerned about the noise coming out from the car wash, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So the wall, it would be almost
Eugene, we can't hear you.
The wall that was promised to us by the builder, and when the Walgreens was built, that we are going to have a continuation of that solid buffer wall all the way to Royal Palm. Now it's just the side of the building, the wall of the car wash, plus I guess it was raised to 11 feet, the one that the cars exit the tunnel. But there is nothing on the way when it turns to the tunnel. Where the cars turn to the tunnel is just empty space there.
Okay. And any other concerns? Yes. Any other concerns?
That's a concern. That's about it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Just the noise and the wall.
Okay, thank you so much. The petitioner is going to respond to the questions at the end of all the speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming forward. Next speaker.
Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Mayor, you're in charge.
All right. Thank you, Vice Mayor. And who is the next speaker?
I'd be happy to read another while Robert's getting the next caller on the line.
Good, Deborah.
This is David Rosenoff, 6308 Northwest 65 Terrace in Parkland. Dear Coral Springs Commissioners, for a little over 16 years, I served on the City of Parkland's Planning and Zoning Committee, and one of my prouder moments was the approval of Rising Tide Car Wash. Their location in Parkland used to be called Unique Car Wash, which was the first business in Parkland. Since Rising Tide has taken over this location, they have not only been an asset to the special needs community, but also the community as a whole. I remember when I was on the City Commission and Rising Tide brought some very similar variance issues to us, and I can tell you unequivocally that it worked out very well for the City of Parkland. They've been a great neighbor, and they've been keeping my truck clean for years now. Thank you for your Thank you for the opportunity to comment on Rising Tide's behalf, and I look forward to you supporting their application.
Thank you, Commissioner Rosenoff. And our next speaker, Deborah.
I'm going to pause.
Mr. Mayor, I have Jim on the line.
All right, Jim. Welcome, Jim.
Mr. Mayor, it seemed to have he seems to have put his phone down.
Okay.
Sorry. Hello?
Are you Jim?
Yes, it is.
All right, you are live.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Sheehan. I live in Cobblestone Walk. That's right on Royal Palm Boulevard, Coral Springs. The reason I wanted to speak is because this car wash would not only affect the community that I've lived in for so long, but multiple communities and people that live along Royal Palm Boulevard west of University Drive. The people in the communities are going to be adversely affected by the location of this car wash. I'll tell you why. In our community, our recreation area is going to be exactly adjacent to the proposed location. We have a lake on one side that's going to border the car wash, and we have a canal on the other side. In addition, the biggest recreational park in the city, Mullins Park, is directly across the street from where this car wash is projected to go. A business like that just generates so much noise, lights, traffic. It's just not the right place. You see, we have a lot of, because of the parks and the lakes and the canal and the waterways, we have a lot of nesting birds. We have lots of ducks, waterfowl, fish, squirrels, lizards, and they're all in this area. Not a good place for a business of that magnitude. The other objections that I have, and this will be in closing, I know I just have a few minutes, is the size and the height of the sign that is in the paperwork for the car wash. Truly will be an eyesore for anyone. In addition to the sign as proposed and it being too high, There would also need to be a wall erected on the eastern border, which is also not in the plans, as there is one on the southern border that is also concealing that lot from another community park on the south side. So you could see how this would be a bad idea, put a car wash there. And I thank you for your time and consideration.
You're welcome, Jim. Thank you. And Deborah, what we're going to do is we're going to put on the 2-minute timer for the future speakers.
Okay, I do have it right here.
Perfect.
2 minutes.
No, it's actually, it's 2.
It's now 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
We're going to have concise speakers as we move forward.
Okay, I'd like to ask Robert if he has Michael on the line.
I have Michael on the line. Let me transfer him in. Give me 30 seconds, please.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I have Michael on the line.
All right. Thank you. Welcome, Michael.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, commissioners. My name is Michael Alessandri. I am from Miami Beach, 1614 Pennsylvania Avenue, apartment 2F, Miami Beach 33139. But I'm here tonight in my capacity as the executive director of the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities, CARD, which is housed at both the University of Miami and Nova Southeastern University. We are the state-funded program that is designed to support every single individual with autism in South Florida at no cost to those families, and we've been doing that since 1993. I want to share with you that we have over 5,400 clients living in Broward County, and over 500 of them are in Coral Springs. But we actually estimate that there could be 5 times that amount based on your population in Coral Springs. So we know there's a tremendous need for programs like ours, and also for the opportunity that Rising Tide Car Wash brings to Coral Springs and the Broward County community. I am really proud that our organization and myself have partnered with Rising Tide since the Derry family came from New York in 2011, 2012. I think what I want people to understand tonight is how important this business is to so many people around the world. It's so much more than a car wash. It is actually, believe it or not, a car wash is an international phenomenon in the autism community. All over the world, tens of millions of people have heard about Rising Tide. And when I travel the world to provide lectures and consultations, and people hear that I'm from Florida, almost always the first question they ask is if I know the people from Rising Tide Car Wash. Imagine my pride when I say that not only do I know them, but they're my friends and they're my collaborators, and they're right here in our backyard in South Florida. They're a beacon of hope for so many, and I'm happy they're on the agenda tonight. I'm happy to see that there's support for their mission, and I certainly hope they continue to get support going forward. It's really a unique opportunity, I think, for the city of Coral Springs, and the positive response that has come to other cities and that will come to this city will be very well deserved indeed. So thank you very much for allowing me to call in tonight.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for being here.
Mayor, the next speaker will be Nathan Flynn of 4700 Coconut Creek Parkway. I'll read it into the record. I'm honored to make a public comment on behalf of Rising Tide Car Wash. I work for Atlantic Technical College in Coconut Creek, Florida, in a program called Career Placement. Our program assists students 18 to 22 with all types of disabilities finding competitive employment in our community. I've had the pleasure of collaborating I've had the pleasure working with Rising Tide Car Wash for several years. They've employed numerous students in our program, assisted them with developing job skills, and given them job opportunities that help them to grow as individuals. I can personally attest that the students in our program who have worked for Rising Tide Car Wash have become more social with peers, learned new job skills, and have gained more self-worth by working hard and earning a paycheck. In my role, I get to see not only how capable my students are and how much they want to work, but also how challenging it can be to find them employment. Over the years, Atlantic Technical College has honored Rising Tide with awards several times, and we've been working with them because of how much they do in the community. For many of our students, Rising Tide is their first job experience where they learn how to be a good employee before heading off to other job opportunities. Bringing Rising Tide Car Wash to Coral Springs will tangibly show the South Florida autism community that Coral Springs is dedicated to being an inclusive city. It's my hope that the Commission will approve Rising Tide's project and create jobs for Coral Springs residents with autism.
Great. It's great to hear. Thank you, Nathan.
Robert, do you have a caller on the line?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have the next caller on the line ready to go.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Helene Fisher. I live at 5314 Northwest 99th Way. In 1993, after relocating from New York, my family and I had a house built in Coral Springs. But the house only felt like home when we had a sense of belonging, a sense of connection with other Coral Springs residents, and a sense that we mattered. In the spirit of its core values, Coral Springs afforded us many and diverse platforms to develop these relationships with residents of different faiths, cultures, and causes, and gave us varied opportunities to contribute to the community. Having Rising Tide Car Wash in Coral Springs would further embody the sense of inclusion and purpose for all Coral Springs residents. And it's for these reasons it is my hope that you will support Rising Tide's application. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Helene.
I will read the next public comment. Donna Boussier of 11411 Northwest 56th Drive in Coral Springs. Dear Coral Springs City Commissioners, it's my pleasure to make a public comment on behalf of Rising Tide Car Wash. As the director of Atlantis Academy, located at 11411 Northwest 56th Drive, many of our students have autism. With over 85% unemployment among individuals with autism nationwide, we worry about what the future holds for many of our students. Rising Tide Car Wash has become a valued partner for us and already employs several of our students at their Parkland and Margate locations. They've helped our students not only gain employment, but also gain the confidence and employment skills they need to excel in any number of job opportunities throughout the community. Rising Tide's operation provides a wonderful and high-quality car wash service, which in turn helps bring the idea of employing individuals with autism into the consciousness of other local business leaders. Approving a Rising Tide Car Wash location in Coral Springs will provide jobs for Coral Springs residents with autism and provide our community with an exceptional car wash service. More importantly, though, it will provide hope and awareness to our entire community that everyone has the potential to contribute meaningfully. This is exactly the type of leadership I wish to see in Coral Springs and hope the Commission will approve Rising Tide's project.
Thank you.
Robert says he has 2 callers.
Great.
Yes, I have the next caller in addition to 2 more callers.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Rochelle Warren. My address is 10158 Royal Palm Boulevard, Coral Springs, Florida 33065. I thank you for your time and consideration regarding our community of Cobblestone Walk opposition to building a Rising Tide Car Wash directly behind our neighborhood. I know that time is limited, and so I'd like to start with speaking about how the proposed car wash will directly affect my daughter, who's 7 years old, her ability to receive a decent night's sleep. If the car wash is built in the parcel that it's proposed to be built in, it's in the direct line of my daughter's bedroom window. And so the increased noise and light will cause distractions and ultimately decrease the amount of sleep my daughter gets. It's been proven that a lack of sleep affects a child's growth and development significantly. That being said, I know Rising Tide prides themselves on hiring greater than 80% of their staff with special needs, and therefore should understand the importance of a quality sleep, especially for a child in elementary age school. I'm also a single mother, and so the increased traffic worries me, as there's a great ease of access from Royal Palm Boulevard directly to my back door, and therefore raises concerns for safety for myself and my daughter. And lastly, I'm an emergency room nurse here at one of the local hospitals in Broward County. And typically on my days off, especially lately with battling COVID, and while on shift, I enjoy coming home and sitting on my back patio, enjoying nature and the birds and turtles that we have here in the lake. And I'm very concerned that the increased traffic and pollution will directly affect our local ecosystem and wildlife, reducing that serenity that we have in our backyard for ourselves and our families. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Robert, would you like me to read? I think I will. Helene Fisher, 5314 Northwest 99 Way in Coral Springs. Dear Coral Springs City Commissioners, in 1993, after relocating from New York, my family and I, wait a minute.
Yeah, she
spoke, didn't she?
She sure
My
did.
apologies. Okay, this one is Lynn Zenda. Zenda. As a resident of Coral Springs and the mother of an employee of Rising Tide Car Wash, we learned of Rising Tide from their Parkland location, which is where Luke began his employment. He now works at the Margate location, has been there for 3 years. We both frequent and send a lot of friends to get their cars washed at Rising Tide. I believe that Rising Tide Car Wash would be a great asset to Coral Springs. They are an awesome company and we totally support them.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And Mayor, the next speakers we have, would you please ensure that we get their name and address? I don't have that information.
Sure.
Thank you.
And I have the next caller on the line, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Hello. Good night, everybody.
Hi there.
Thank you for taking my call. Appreciate everybody's time. My name is Dave. My address is 10144 Royal Palm. I am a resident of Cobblestone Walkway. I am actually looking forward to the car wash. I believe it's great what y'all are doing for the community as well as the city of Coral Springs. And I look forward to being a customer. No concerns whatsoever.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a good night. Appreciate it.
All right. You as well.
I will read Laura Glorioso. My name is Laura Glorioso. I'm an ESE teacher at Atlantic Technical College. Many of my students from Coral Springs and Northern Broward are or have been employees of Rising Tide Car Wash. I've collaborated with the dairies to support my students for many years, and in commenting tonight as a spokesperson for my students. Rising Tide provides a quality service to their paying customers. This is easy to see. What you don't see is that in addition to employment training, the dairies also support the social growth of their employees. Rising Tide is creating independent and responsible young adults who want to be active participants in our community. My students look forward to going to work at Rising Tide, and I've personally watched their transformation from vulnerable to confident. Rising Tide is a great community partner who not only provides a quality service to their customers, they are providing life-changing opportunities to their employees. Robert?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have the last caller on the line.
All right. Thank you, Robert.
Hello, good evening.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Rebecca Modica. I live at 10170 Royal Palm Boulevard here at the complex of Cobblestone Walk. I do have very similar pressing worries, similar to, my fellow residents here at this complex. More than anything, it's just the security, more than just the noise pollution, the visual pollution. As many of the residents have said, living here at Cobblestone Walk is because of the nature aspect, the simplicity of Coral Springs. If we wanted to be in a hustling city, we could have easily made that decision. But once again, those who are living in Coral Springs is to have the nature, the quietness, building this right next door. Understand the good deed that it would be making, but I just feel like it's two separate issues. You know, obviously the autism spectrum and people with special needs is a very important subject, but I believe that the city of Coral Springs can put more funds and resources in helping that community out without having to have residents of Coral Springs suffer because, you know, again, like we only got 2 weeks ahead notice. I understand, you know, obviously it's a business, but what about the residents? You know, I feel like the community is just prioritizing money and funding over the people who have been living here in Coral Springs for so many years. At a certain point, we have to leave certain land masses alone. We can't just construct in every little corner just because we can. Again, if that's the kind of living situation that we wanted, we would go to Fort Lauderdale. But this is Coral Springs. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I have 3 more to read into the record. It won't take too long. Melody Erez, 5355 Northwest 84 Terrace in Coral Springs. I'm a speech pathologist that resides in Coral Springs. We see a major need for places that can help children with special needs transition to adulthood. What we love about Rising Tide is that they've actually made it so that these individuals can be trained for work and work in other fields beyond the car wash. What Rising Tide does helps the whole community. It helps us to be more inclusive and allow more opportunities for so many families who are desperate for it and reach out to us every day. Thank you in advance for considering this and making it an option for these families who so need it. The next is Carol Zangari. She is in support of the project. She is at 6399 Northwest 45 Court. Rachel, we heard from Rachel Warren. This is correspondence that was emailed from Dorothy Costello, 10164 Royal Palm Boulevard. I strongly object to any car wash to be built in my backyard. The noise and traffic and pollution from chemicals and fumes are unacceptable, and I don't see any mention of a buffer wall and at least one that would block out the complete structure. So rethink this business to be built in an industrial area and not a mainly residential neighborhood. Poor planning. I'm getting a lot of messages, Mayor. I believe Robert has another caller on the line.
Okay, sounds good. And thank you, Dorothy, for writing into us.
We have one more caller, but she's not answering the line. Sienna Johnson.
So you're trying to bring her in, but she's not getting herself in.
Yeah, she's not answering the phone right now.
Mayor, that's all I have for written comments, and Georgia tells me there's no one waiting to speak at our iPad.
Great. We will give Sienna one more chance. We'll let her ring, and if we can't get her, then we'll conclude public hearing. Larry, I see you're downstairs, huh?
You know what it is, Mayor? I figured since I only have 2 more meetings left, this to be my last one here, I guess without a mask. So I could be in here without everyone else and being able to enjoy a little bit. I kind of miss it. So
I'm glad that you're there. It's good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
All right, so we gave Sienna a little bit more time. Do we have her? Doesn't look like we do. So we will conclude the public hearing. And Dennis, I'm going to turn it back over to you to answer the questions that were posed, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mayor. So first, I want to go back to something that Ms. Krolak said at the beginning. This property is Zone B2, which is your community business district. And as was said in the staff report, that district is to provide a lot of different types of retail and commercial uses. Ms. Krolak also told you that the reason this is a special exception is because we're doing the car wash without a gas station. If we had a gas station and a car wash, we wouldn't be here. Now, I think that having a car wash without a gas station is a lot less impact than having a car wash with a gas station. But let me go through some specific items. So because we are a special exception, we have to do a sound study, which we did. We have to do a traffic study, which we did. And we have to do an analysis of a lot of items that you would not do if it was a use permitted as of right. As you also know, a use permitted as of right in Coral Springs, which just requires a site plan, does not require a public hearing. It would simply be done with staff at the DRC level. So we did a traffic analysis, which was reviewed by your traffic engineer, Joaquin Vargas, who I say without reservation is the best traffic engineer in South Florida, and you're lucky to have him. And he signed off on everything that we did with respect to traffic. On sound, we showed not only by measuring the sound that is there today on Royal Palm Boulevard, but also measuring our sound at our facility in Margate, that the sound from the road is more than any sound that will be emanating from this building. We also lowered the entry to the tunnel at the recommendation of Dr. Kasheri, your sound consultant, so that we won't have sound impacts. Lighting. Your code requires that when you light a commercial site, you bring the foot candles down to, I believe it's 0 at the property line. We've done that. We comply fully with all of your lighting requirements. There was a question about pollution. A car wash like this recycles the water. So, you know, that water is being used, it's going in, it's coming out the soap, and then it puts it in the drain and recycles it and puts it back in. We will not have any pollution. I assure you that if there was a gas station with a ancillary car wash, it would have a lot more opportunity for fumes and other things that people were worried about. There was a discussion about wildlife. If you look at an aerial photograph of this site, the site was cleared long ago. It's like a lawn with trees around the edge. So it's not a site that is a wetland or a site that is a wildlife habitat by any means. It was a cleared lot with grass and trees around the edge. Foot traffic. I don't know how to say this other than to say it simply. People that come to a car wash come with their car to get it washed. So who might be walking? I guess someone who works there, if maybe they're walking to a bus stop or something. There is a large lake between us and Cobblestone Walk that runs all the way from our southern property line almost right up to Royal Palm Boulevard. Now, our wall on our eastern line of this building runs almost the whole property line. The only place that there isn't that wall of the building is right at the back end and at the front. Now, we have a hedge along our eastern property line. If it would be felt that it would be important for security, we would be happy to put a vinyl coated chain link fence that the hedge will grow right through that will provide the complete barrier so no one could walk from this site over to the lake. And we'd be happy to add that to the plan. And if you make that part of the motion, the staff, of course, will make sure we include it on our site plan. But to put another wall there to duplicate the eastern wall of the building we're already putting up, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Also, the wall is not required in this instance, I believe, and the staff could tell you better than I can, but because we're not adjacent to residential property, there's a lake in between us. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. And as you heard, people were worried about the size or the height of the sign. As you know from the discussion we've already had, that we've lowered the building, the maximum height, we've lowered the signs, and so they are not up high any longer. I hope I've answered all the questions. If there's something I missed, please let me know and I'll try to respond. Thank you very much.
Sure, great. So I'll let it go to the commission for any questions of either our staff or the petitioner. Okay, I don't see anyone. Okay, Commissioner Vignola.
I'd like to ask staff how long this has been zone B2.
Well, I've been here 8 years and it's been zone B2 for that long. So, I mean, it's been zone B2 for quite a long time. I mean, the other developments that are there were developed under the B2 zoning district as well. So,
and what is a zone B2 but just can we, for the folks that are watching, can we define what that means, please? Sorry.
Sure. It's community business is the name of the district, and we call it B2 for short.
Back to you, Commissioner Vignola, if you have anything else.
I believe that's been B2 since before the Publix went up over there across the street. And I think that's kind of important when we look at, this is not rezoning something. This is something that has been existing, has been zoned that way for many years. So.
Sure. Any other questions of either staff or the petitioner before we entertain a motion? Okay, I don't see any. So John, do we need two separate motions for the
We
two?
do. We had one hearing, two separate motions, and the first one would be a motion concerning whether or not to approve the special exception with the conditions. And I'll remind the commission, if they want to add what has been offered by the petitioner for a fence barrier as described by the petitioner, you could add that now into that motion if you wanted to.
Okay, Commissioner Simmons?
Sorry, I actually do have a question for the petitioner. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've all been in car washes and stuff. I know for me, when I was a little bit younger and I used to, get my cars washed, when I did the vacuuming part, I would, leave my doors wide open and blast my music. And, as I clean out the car and things of that nature, and other people do that as well. So like, how can we account, for that additional sound, I guess, if you will? Like how is this set up to, is it set up to, drown out that noise that could come from, people blasting their music while they're, vacuuming out their cars and things of that nature?
Well, the sound study, of course, looked at the sound already on Royal Palm Boulevard, and then it also went over and measured the sound in Margate. Now, I don't know if someone might have had a radio on loud when they were there measuring, but what I can tell you is we're going to have staff on site. And so I don't think we would have any problem saying to folks, when you vacuum the car, shut off the radio.
I'm wondering if we can possibly, maybe have some type of signage that, lets customers know, if this is approved, let customers know that, to have their music, they can't have their music blasting, or something like that, just to kind of, that way you don't have to really, put that much on staff of the car wash to have to go and tell folks, or it makes it easier for them to, let folks know that, hey, you can't have your music that loud or things of that nature. Just, you never know, man. I mean, I live off of Riverside. And so, I hear all the Fast and Furious cars at all times of the night. Thank God my 4-month-old can sleep through anything right now. Sometimes when she wants.
That's great.
But I'm just curious if there's any way that maybe we could have some type of sign. Something that just kind of says, something about the car noise level.
We would be happy to add such a sign. And as you were mentioning that, I realized, Mayor, I didn't respond to one item.
Sure.
There was a question about disrupting sleep. Keep in mind that the hours are of the special exception are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Will not be open before 7 a.m. We will not be open after 7 p.m. And we'd be happy to add the sign that the commissioner just mentioned regarding turning off the radios and so on.
Gotcha. Back to you, Commissioner Sarah, and then I will allow you, John, to share a few words too. Go ahead, Sean.
Thank you, Mayor. Dennis, always great to see you.
Thank you.
As far as the recommendation of the fence with the hedging, I really support that. I know that City Attorney Hearn, just made that adjustment. So when the time comes, I would put that in the motion for sure. And I appreciate the sensitivity to some of the residents that spoke to that. But I think that's a great compromise for not only separating the two properties, but also from a safety side, just making sure that someone that's on property is not wandering down by the water. So thank you for that.
Great. Vice Mayor Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, it's never easy to disagree with any resident, but I think what's most important is that to note the property designation was already in place before Cobblestone was even built. So you had to know that you were buying behind a commercial designation. And I'm sure it's been enjoyable having it as a vacant property, but there's also a 75-foot buffer there of water, which I think is a big deal. And back to what I said, that land was always planned to be a car wash with a gas station. So I believe that the petitioner has met the needs of the city's request, and with the lake and the additional landscaping, and now with an additional fence, and I can't see traffic being an issue because this is almost a residential road where people are coming from neighborhoods from all the way west to go east. And so that would be, the car wash use would be for those people. So I just can't see people traveling out of their way other than the current existing traffic, in my opinion. So I think it's just to be a convenience to those drivers that are already there.
Vice Mayor, would you like to move it?
I would move that we approve the petitioner's request. Do we have to do two separate ones?
Yeah, so this is for the special exception with the fence barrier and signage as articulated.
Move to approve.
Second.
Hey, there's a motion and a second. Discussion. We'll go to you, Commissioner Vignola, first.
I just want to make sure that that's with the conditions set forth by staff and agreed to by the petitioner.
Correct.
Very good.
Staff and Commissioner Simmons.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and Deborah, make sure you get that in the minutes.
And look, you know, when we talk about being a master plan community, and you know, the vice mayor, she knew where I was going. I'd spoken about it earlier, right, about that zoning designation. I grew up right over by there. I lived there for many years when Cobblestone was built. I used to have a fort there before it was built, and it bothered me when they built that neighborhood, right, because that was there that we used to enjoy as a kid. But that's the way it was zoned, and that's what a master plan community is. I understand the concerns of the residents over there. And I do feel bad. However, you know, that property has been zoned a certain way for a very, very long time. And when you buy a piece of property, and because you enjoy it and you like the way it is, doesn't mean that the people that live adjacent to you or own a property adjacent to you, they don't have a right then to go ahead and develop on their property. I would have a different opinion maybe if this was a rezoning. But we're not. This is something that fits the needs, and people have the right to, develop and sell their property. And look, this is a good business. I first went out to Rising Tide many years ago with Congressman Ted Deutsch. He invited me over to the Parkland one, and I was thoroughly impressed. These are nice, clean places. This isn't a place of maybe some other car washes. I would be a little hesitant. But they take care of their properties. They do. The support in the community is huge. I love the fact what they do for people on the spectrum. But even besides that, this is a good, solid business. And I've been hearing from a lot of people, not all the people that wrote letters that Mr. Mealy went ahead and shared, but people in the community that have been very supportive of this business coming into town, and they're excited about it. And again, I apologize to the people that live out over there that maybe didn't understand what the zonings were out there, but I have a really hard time saying no to something based off of concerns of it being empty property and being used to it like that.
All right. Any further discussion before me? Sean, anything further? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to support Vice Mayor and Commissioner Vignola's comments. And, one thing that was duly noted is that the petitioner has worked at a very high level with staff to fall in line with all of our recommendations to protect that community from any concerns. And our staff takes this very seriously. And what's pretty special about this particular case is that the petitioner agreed to everything and wasn't pushing back because they understand the importance of being a good neighbor. So this is a really good thing for our community, and just being in the education business and working with the autistic population, I'm just so proud that Rising Tide is going to be coming into our community and I fully support this 100%. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Anything further from anyone else? So I give you my full support, and I'm so appreciative of staff and the petitioner working so well and so long together. Truly a lot of back and forth, a lot of questions. You've been able to supply answers. You've been flexible, Dennis, and your team. And of course, we've got a great staff. And once again, we're looking to make a positive impact in our community. So I also, as the Vice Mayor indicated, feel that this meets all of the requirements. So with the quasi-judicial hearing being waived, there'd be no reason for me, and I believe anybody, to disapprove of this, even if you thought, 3 or 4 of the comments had a lot of validity. You've addressed all of those as well, Dennis. So, and in the same vein, no disrespect to, those that are in opposition for your reasons. I think what you'll see, not just with the property and with the business, but like you saw, I think on the ad, it talks about rising tides, raises all boats. You're going to see our boats lifted here in Coral Springs. This is another reflection of us being such an inclusive community. And so, John and Tom, I'm very appreciative that you look to Coral Springs to have this unique business that gives so much back to the community. I don't have a son or daughter on the autism spectrum, but I know that there are many that are affected in our community and our surrounding communities. And to give the life that you're giving to these young people through important work that they can do well and feel good about themselves, and then the record you have on promotions beyond what they're doing at Rising Tide, man, I just think that's incredible. So I look forward to saying yes to this motion. Any further comments? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, carries unanimously. So John, let me give you and Tom an opportunity to share a little bit, if you don't mind.
Mayor, prior to that, if you want to just finish all items, we do have that sign variance.
We can go right there. Thank you, JJ. We'll take a motion to accept the sign variance.
And noting the removal of the monument sign as well in that motion. Thank you.
Yeah, they have gotten rid of their original request for the monument sign.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carries unanimously. All right, now,
Thank you.
John, it's your turn.
Well, I'd like to say we're very excited to be in Coral Springs. We're very excited to do this next one. The rising tide has an impact on the entire community, and local businesses often see the potential and start hiring people with autism, not holding it against them, and say to themselves, wow, let me give somebody a shot. It's not just this, what happens here. Also, for the young people, most of our management is young people. A lot of them, the age of 20, 21, and then they move on, or they're going to, junior college or whatever. It also sets in their mind how to look at diversity. So, thanks. Thank you.
You bet. I look forward to the impact. You have and had a very, very special, unique vision, John, and I'm really, really happy you've chosen our area to go the next phase of your vision.
We're so blessed to be able to be in Coral Springs. This is really wonderful. It really adds to the existing community that we have in Parkland and Margate, and I really can't thank you enough.
Awesome.
And we'll be good neighbors. We will. We'll be very good neighbors. They're not gonna be upset we're there at all. I'm positive. And in Parkland, if you've been to our Parkland location, we were the first business, not us, but we bought the very first commercial business that was ever put in Parkland was our plot. And there are nice homes behind an 8-foot wall, 150 feet from that location. They built those houses after the car wash. So I can tell you, it's only a parking lot. It's not a beautiful buffer like a lake or anything like that. They put those homes up. And we've never heard word one out of any of our neighbors, except for some of the people that live over there. Some of the kids that live over there have worked for us.
Mhm.
And that's it. That's all we've ever heard.
Yeah, and I could see some of the kids living around there working for you too.
Right.
That's
So
great.
thank
you.
Well, thank you and congratulations to you. Thank you, Dennis, for your presentation. And thank you again, staff, for working so hard and diligently to get us here tonight. Good stuff.
Yes. Thank you, staff.
Thank you, staff.
Good stuff. So next, we have item number 8. At least we had it. So just to be sure, item number 8, is that withdrawn, John?
That is withdrawn, so there's no need to read it because it's withdrawn. It's not coming back.
Gotcha. Okay. And then item number 9 is a conditional use approval for a telecommunications tower where we are having a quasi-judicial hearing and a
That's
public.
correct, Mayor. This is a request to hold a quasi-judicial hearing and public hearing to approve petition of Echo Site 2 and T-Mobile South LLC for conditional use approval in accordance with Section 250-1028 review process of the Land Development Code for construction of a 100-foot telecommunications tower facility in the Industrial Research and Development Zoning District located at 11711 West Sample Road, legally described as Parcel D, Greater Coral Springs Research and Development Park Addition. Authorize the City Attorney's Office to draft an order approving CA 19-6 and adopt said orders. Request to hold a quasi-judicial hearing and public hearing, approve, authorize, and adopt the mayor. So let me read some things in since this will be a formal quasi-judicial. I will tell you that there is no affected parties. So we will go through the process which you have outlined with you, but I will talk first about the fact that we're doing this remotely. So we're doing this in accordance with Rule 28-109.006 of the Florida Administrative Code, where any evidence, testimony, argument which is offered utilizing communication media technology shall be afforded equal consideration as if it was offered in person and shall be subject to the same objections in accordance with the notice of this public hearing, which was provided to all parties. If there's a situation where sworn testimony is required, persons offering such testimony are responsible for making appropriate arrangements for offering the sworn testimony. So all individuals who are going to offer that testimony should be brought up now on the Zoom meeting. The procedures are as follow, Mayor and Commission. You are sitting here quasi-judicial, so you are sitting here quasi-judge. This is a site-specific matter, so the petitioner is entitled to a quasi-judicial if so chosen, and that's what has been chosen. All members of staff, witnesses for the petition, and affected parties who will be testifying will be sworn in, which I will do shortly. After each witness testifies or makes documents available to us, we'll either accept them or not accept them. The questioning party is not permitted to make any statements, only ask questions which are directly related to the testimony presenting once they have provided their information. Mayor, you can see before you the order of operations. The city staff will make its presentation. I'll be swearing in city staff. Petitioners will also make their presentation, provide their evidence. There are no affected parties, but it will be open to the public for time-limited comments. There can be a final presentation by petitioner, final presentation by the city, and then the commission shall deliberate on the petition. So I would ask that anyone who is going to provide evidence be brought up on the Zoom hearing. I believe Ms. Krolik is, if she's there. I see Ms. Martineau is here.
Yes,
And Ms. Martineau, do you have anyone who's providing testimony?
Patrick Keene, possibly. He's the RF engineer if anybody has questions.
Okay, good. Okay, so what we'll do, Mayor, and as I understand it, Ms. Krolik will offer her item into evidence, which will be accepted, which will provide evidence. Any motion you make to approve, you can rely on the evidence there. Any motion against, you can rely on any evidence that was provided that would be against the approval. So I guess I'll ask Ms. Krolik and Ms. Martineau, if you could just raise your right hand and affirm after me. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Okay. So Ms. Krolik, Ms. Martineau have been sworn in. If we have additional individuals that have not been sworn in and we need them, I will swear them in. Oh, I'm sorry.
Elizabeth Harrington Smith, yes.
Yep. Did you raise your right hand and swear in?
I did not. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I'm a rule follower.
Okay, good. All right, you're up next. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the evidence and testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, Mayor. So we have 3 people sworn in. Mayor, the city staff will give their testimony right now.
Great, thank you, and thank you, Joel.
Good evening again, everyone. Let me just share my screen here. Okay, so Mr. Hearn mentioned this conditional use request on behalf of EchoSite 2 and T-Mobile South. The address is 11711 West Sample Road. The property is at the corner of Coleridge and Sample Road, just on the exterior of the corporate park. So it is zoned IRD, or Industrial Research and Development. The site is a little under 9 acres, and there's an existing 90,000 square foot warehouse that's there now. The applicant is requesting to install a 100-foot monopine telecommunications tower. Just to give everybody an idea who may not be familiar with the term, the monopine is basically a cell tower that is made to look like a tree. We do have about 3 or 4 of these in the city right now. That's just a way to help camouflage the antenna that are planned for the pole. Right now, T-Mobile is planning on locating on the site on the pole itself, and there will be the ability for 2 additional antenna at a later date as the code encourages. Looking a little bit closer at the area where the pole will be located, you can see it's a little northeast of the building, closer to Coleridge Drive. It will be set back 100 feet from the property line, and the compound itself, which will include the rest of the equipment that's needed for the pole, will be about a 50 by 50 foot area. There will be landscaping that will be added around that area, as well as an 8-foot high decorative wall, which will be installed around the compound as well. As I had in my previous slide, but just to reiterate, the closest residential property, which is pretty much showing this picture here, and I believe the applicant has a few other pictures to show you some perspective, is more than 250 feet away from the tower itself. So you can see here, this is Coleridge Drive. I'll give you an idea of what it would look like from there. And this is across Sample in the adjacent commercial business that's on the other side, on the south side of Sample Road. So you can see it blends in well with the other trees nearby, the adjacent sites. In 2016, we came through and revamped our whole telecommunications code, and that was to bring it more in tune with new state and federal requirements at the time. 2 things we did at that time was we created hierarchies so that when new towers were coming in, it would give applicants an idea of where the city was encouraging these poles to go. The first of which is where to site them. So in this case, it is last on the list. However, it is allowed as a new concealed tower on privately owned property. And then the second hierarchy was zoning districts where these would be appropriate. And you can see IRD is right in the middle here. So again, both of these are permitted. It just gives applicants an idea of where we would prefer to see them. And as part of their application, which is included in their backup, the applicant did provide why some of these other zoning districts or other sites didn't work and why this was the most appropriate for this pole. Additionally, you may remember just last year, we actually adopted the city's wireless master plan. And this area, you can see the yellow circle here, shows a wide range area here, actually identified this area as needing a tower within the next several years. So putting one here definitely will help serve the community and will help take care of some of those coverage gaps that are shown, as you can see on the map here. Staff does believe the request meets the criteria for conditional use approval in that, again, that the tower itself will have a 100-foot setback from the property line and is more than 250 feet away from the nearest residential location. The corporate park is an appropriate location for towers such as this. We already have a couple within the park itself as well. And just due to the nature of the industrial uses that are there, it is appropriate. And it does meet all buffering requirements in that it has the 8-foot wall and the landscaping around it. Therefore, staff is recommending approval We do include 2 conditions: that the projects will be substantially developed according to the plans which you have, and that the conditional use will run with the land. Again, as Mr. Hearn mentioned, staff would like to enter our PowerPoint as well as our staff report and back up into the record. That concludes staff's presentation.
And Mayor, I would just ask if the petitioner has any objection to this being offered into the record.
Do you? Any objection offering into the
Ms.
record?
Marta, you're on mute.
Deborah.
Find the, there we go. I was trying to find the unmute. No objection. Thank you.
Okay, this will be composite exhibit 1 for the city, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. And with Julie being complete, now it's your turn, petitioner.
All right, I'm going to hit share screen as well in just a second. I want to thank everybody, say good evening. My name is Deborah Mardigan with Mardigan Land Use Law. I represent EcoSite 2. My address is 1036 23rd Avenue North, St. Petersburg, Florida. Thank you all. I want to thank staff. We have been working with staff since about 2016, going through the master plan process, the code rewrite, and trying to find an appropriate site to deploy our infrastructure and our facility. So I can't say enough about Julie in particular, and Sherry Whitaker have been working hand in hand with us for about 4 years. So we're finally here. So thank you. I'm going to hit share screen and see if I can't make this happen. All right. Go back. And it worked when I did it with Justin. So here we go. Yeah. How's that? Okay, good. I have the short version. I have the long version. I already know it's been a fairly long evening for you. We're going on a little over 2 hours. Let me just say, we concur with staff's analysis, report, recommendation, their findings or conditions of approval. We do have a recommendation of approval from P&Z when we went there in February. I believe that Julie has pretty much covered all of the facts and figures regarding the application, and I don't want to be redundant. I certainly, I want to point out a few things that probably weren't in, I don't believe were in a presentation, like the map of where right here where the existing towers are located, and the blue line that you see there, the irregularly shaped circle, let's call it, is our search area, which happens, you can see we're on the very northwest corner, the proposed site of that search area. And all of the other sites, we already have antennas on. So this would be an infill site that we're trying to have coverage and capacity in this area and hand off to all of the other locations in and around Coral Springs. This is some of the due diligence we had to do based on the zoning hierarchy, and our little pink dot up there is where our proposed site is, and the weird irregularly shaped circle red line is our search area. And we go through that exercise to show that there were no other higher ranked sites within the siting hierarchy, and there wasn't, except for, sorry about that, guys. My dog has been patient. Let me try to shut my door. He has been quiet all night. And of course, we're getting started, right? And he's going to say, give me a snack. Okay. Yep. So the irregularly shaped red line is the search area. And the only other higher ranked site was Three Friends Park, but we were not, that was just not available to lease. So the next highest rank that was in the search area was the IRD parcel that we're proposing. This will show you the coverage maps. If anybody has specific technical questions, I'm happy to have Patrick answer them for you. But you can see on the left side, the green is reliable service, and the yellow and the red is not. And you can see that our issue isn't so much in the northwest corner because we're closer to that existing antenna to the northwest. It's trying to solve the problems to the east, southeast, south, and a little bit to the southwest. So the right side slide will show you the coverage, the improved coverage and reliable indoor service, which is so important during our COVID situation, isn't it? That will be resolved and provided once this tower is installed and the antennas are put on. Just quickly, staff has gone through all of this. We're not requesting any setback variances. We've met and exceeded all of the code requirements. We are doing a camouflage design as required by your code. We will have up to 3 wireless providers. So that will reduce future tower proliferation in the area. We are not asking for any landscape or buffer variances either. I thought most important maybe would be to show you where we did our photo simulations. You can see photo 1, 2, 3, and 4. We took them from all the different directions where residential was the closest to the site. And you will see this is the one that is across Coral Ridge Drive. It is the closest, but you can see that the existing trees that are there already do quite a bit to mitigate the lower portion, any visual impacts from the lower portion of the tower. You can see it's barely visible from looking north from south across Sample Road. And then looking to the northeast, you can't even see it because you guys have a lot of tree cover in the area, which is great. And view 4, looking northwest, you also cannot see it. So we are requesting approval. We are consistent with the comp plan and your wireless master plan. I can tell you that I do work all over the state, and you're the only city that I know of that has a wireless master plan. So good on your staff for working through that with Cityscape. I've known Elizabeth for quite some time, prior to even meeting her through Coral Springs. We're not asking for any variances. This is an unmanned facility that has 0 impact on public services and facilities. We did not have any other co-location opportunities available. You can see we're already utilizing all the infrastructure in the city. There were no alternative city-owned sites available within the search area. This was the highest ranked zoning district available. We were reviewed by Cityscape, Elizabeth Harrington and her team to prove our necessity and what we needed for coverage and capacity, and they signed off. And we concur with everything staff has presented to you. I had previously provided this PowerPoint to staff, so I'd like it included in the record, as well as obviously all of the extensive application material that you can see in your backup agenda. We're here to answer any questions, and certainly if anybody from the public has comment and questions, would like a chance to try to answer those questions for them as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone from the commission have any questions of the petitioner? All right, I don't see any questions from you all. So my understanding, John, is again, there's no affected parties that are here to testify.
That is correct. So your next option is not option. The next thing you should do is just see if there's anyone from the public that'd like to speak.
Great. So the public hearing is now open on this item. Is anyone from the public that wishes to be heard?
Mayor, I did receive correspondence. There's no one outside waiting to speak, and Robert does not have anyone from the phone line. But I did have correspondence to be added to the record.
Sure.
It is dated February 6, 2020 from Joanne Percy of 12950 Southwest 13th Street, Pembroke Pines. And it's correspondence that was presented at the Planning and Zoning Board meeting. City Attorney, I just asked for your direction whether I read this into the record or how I handle this.
Well, I haven't seen it. So how large is this correspondence?
5 paragraphs. I've experienced reading.
And there's no other public. So if you can read that quickly, that's fine.
I'll read it quickly. This letter is in response to the one I received written on January 27, 2020. It is for a hearing on Monday, February 10, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. The petitioner is EchoSite 2 and T-Mobile South, LLC, case number CR 19006, asking for permission to build a 100-foot telecommunications tower. My 4-unit apartment building is directly behind Parcel D, where the tower is to be constructed. I am adamantly and uncompromisingly opposed to this tower.
Deborah,
Yes,
real quick, I see that it's in the backup, so it's incorporated in the backup.
it is great. Thank you for the time. And we do not have any other speakers.
All right, very good. Very good. So is there anything that you want to respond to from what you just heard, Deborah?
I'm unmuted now. Okay. We were made aware of Miss Percy's letter right before the zoning hearing. I did try to, I think staff also did try to reach her at that time. I reached out to her after. I think staff will concur. She doesn't have a voicemail box and she never returned my call. But with that said, I sent a letter to her and with some backup information. And I provided that letter and backup information via email to staff both in February and again last week to remind them that I did follow up. I did not receive a response from Miss Percy, but I believe Julie or someone on her staff spoke with her briefly, so she could probably fill in.
All right, thank you. Julie, anything to respond with?
Just that, yes, we did speak with Ms. Percy this week. She had just general concerns about her property value and what her view might be. So I went over the diagrams that Ms. Martiu had provided for her and the letter to explain the project a little bit more.
All right, thank you. So do we deliberate before a motion or after a motion, John?
No, Mayor, you could deliberate now. You have evidence in the record supporting this item, and you can deliberate now and make your motion based on what you have in evidence, which is the staff report, staff agenda memo. Ms. Martiu, did you want to put it into the record, your presentation, or did we already accept that?
Yeah, she muted again.
Got to unmute Deborah.
There. Am I unmuted? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
okay.
We can hear you.
The famous, can you hear me now, right? Yes, I did ask if you could put it into the record. That would be very nice. Thank you.
We'll take that as petitioner's exhibit 1, Mayor. So you have in the record now documents in support of approval, and you can go ahead and deliberate or take a motion, whatever the commission's ready to do.
Yeah, to me, everything appears in order, no opposition. You guys are in alignment, so I'm looking forward to a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
And that motion, Mayor, is based on the evidence on the record. Thank you.
That is correct. Any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Vignola.
Well, I understand the concern, the property owner over there. I will tell you, a few years ago, I had to call 911 sitting at that intersection, and there is really poor cell phone reception there. I think, the aesthetics of this tower are better than most. And I think, for safety reasons, with so many people relying on their cell phones for those types of things, my phone drops almost every time I go through that intersection. I've had people complain to me in the past about that intersection and cell phone reception. So I think it's something that actually, needs to be done.
Sounds good, Larry. Excuse me. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, carries unanimously. Is it okay with you all to take about a 5-7 minute break? Not
Just
for
want to say
Dennis,
thank
yes
you.
for Larry.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Thanks, Elizabeth. And thank you, Julie.
No, I understand if you need to take a break. I just want to power through.
Yeah, I'm not powering through. I got to make a call and step outside too. So we're going to break for, it's 8:56. We'll come back at 9:03.
All right.
Thank you.
So Deborah, I'm pausing the recording. Okay, thank you. All right, it is paused. Deborah, you good to go?
All right. Well, welcome back.
So hold on. Let me make sure. They say
Do
they're
you
ready.
need to hear me?
Oh, there
Hear
you
me
go.
now? Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. I couldn't finish my phone calls. I was trying to, I have phone calls to make as well. So I figured we were taking that break. So you guys are just going to start?
Yeah, we came back at 9:03. That was
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I had a couple of phone calls to make that I put off during the meeting, and I was going to wait till after the meeting to make them. But I figured, if we had this break, then
yeah, make them now. We got a quorum.
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to wait since that's the reason why we took the break. So I think if that's what we're going to do, then we need to make sure it applies for everybody.
You can make any calls you want, Joshua.
Right ahead, Mayor. Please start the meeting. Thank you.
Great. We're on item number 10.
We are live, by the way. Thank you. And I'm going to resume the official recording. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Mayor, this is ordinance 2020-123. It's an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, pursuant to Section 166.041 Florida statutes to amend Ordinance 2019-124 as amended by Ordinance 2019-126, Ordinance 2019-128, and Ordinance 2020-116, finalizing and adopting the annual operating budget and capital improvement program for fiscal year 2019-20 by amending Exhibit A, the annual operating budget, and Exhibit B, the capital improvement program, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This is a request to approve it first reading, hold a public hearing, and set second reading for November 4th, 2020.
Great, thank you, John. Good evening, Catherine.
Hello. Good evening, Commission. I will make this short. After every end of a fiscal year, we generally have a couple things just to kind of clean up before our auditors come in, and we wait till the end of the fiscal year so we don't continue to do budget amendments throughout the course of the fiscal year unless we absolutely need to. So this is doing a couple entries for the general fund, our CIP plan, debt service fund, museum fund, and charter fund. Thank you. Any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions for Catherine? All right, no questions.
So we'll open up to the public, Mayor.
Great, this is the public hearing. Deborah, do we have anybody that would like to be heard?
Mayor, we do not have anyone online. We don't have anyone here. We're all set.
Move to approve and set second reading.
Got a motion? Need a second. Want to second it, Sean?
Second.
Gotcha. All right. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, carries unanimously. Next is consent. We are pulling, I think 14 came off anyhow, and I'm going to pull number 13. Does anybody wish to pull 11 or 12?
Mayor, number 13 was pulled down to policy formation for you. There's two items under consent. One is a license agreement for maintenance of an entryway wall at Turtle Run, and the other one is a license agreement with Florida Power and Light for temporary storage of power poles.
Great. So seeing no pulls, is there a motion for consent?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, carries unanimously. So next is number 13.
Mayor, this is interlocal agreement with Broward County for home funds. The city's receiving about $237,000 to go towards buyer assistance program, and Nira can tell us a little bit about this and what the processes will be.
You got it.
Good evening. This is Susie. Instead of Nira this evening, I'm going to take her place on this one. This is a federal program that we hope to have for families get purchase assistance to be able to buy homes in Coral Springs. A maximum of $50,000 is the amount for each one, so that's at least a minimum of 4 that we can help, if not more. It's done on a first come, first serve basis, and they have to have a certificate of housing counseling with an 8-hour credit done along with a pre-approval lending of a lending institution. So we have, this was in our plan for the 1920 plan for purchase assistance. Usually we've done a lot of home repair with the home funds that we get, but this time we wanted to round it out a little bit and have some purchase assistance since we hadn't done that in quite a while. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but this is a agreement with Broward County to work with this.
Great. Any questions of staff?
Nope, just happy
All
it's
right.
happening.
Great. Would you like to move it, Vice Mayor?
I would. Move to
Great.
approve.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Our next item is number 14 for delivering quicklime.
Mayor John Norris is going to tell us a little bit about this. This is a product we use at our water treatment plants, necessary for the processing of our water.
Great. Good evening, John.
Evening. As City Manager said, it's a 3-year agreement. We are piggybacking on a competitive bid from Tamarack, and it is an essential chemical compound to treat our water. So we do need this.
Great. Any questions?
Nope. Move to approve.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Vignola got the second. Any discussion?
Just nice to
because
see
of
John in the
these
office.
Items, they come off of consent. Go ahead, Larry.
I said, just nice to see John here working in the office, and welcome again.
Thank
Great.
you. Glad to be here.
Great. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Carries unanimously. Next, we have under policy formation agreement regarding Wiles Road access, item number 15.
Mayor, this is an item we're very excited about. John Hearn's office, Sherry Whitaker, has worked very hard with the agreement holders here to work this out. As you know, towards the end of Wiles Road in the corporate park, there's a site that was back there that really wasn't the most desirable site. It had some cleanup associated with it. It had no access other than through somebody else's property. So we were able to get an agreement together that is beneficial for the city and for the purchaser of this property. John Norris is going to walk us through the site plan and kind of show us what it looks like, but we will be receiving some improvements out the waste transfer station at no cost to the city. The party that we're doing the agreement with, the developer will cover all associated costs with what John's about to talk us through.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, I just shared my screen. Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Okay. This existing waste transfer site up in the northwest part of the city. I made my cursor very large so you can see it. Here's Wiles Road. This is the existing entrance going into the waste transfer station. This will also be the new road that's constructed to access the property to the south. The culvert will be built, the crossing there. This new road will also incorporate a walkway that'll be part of the greenway. It will have an emergency access to the waste transfer station that will be gated off, however. The new entrance to the waste transfer station will be on the northeast part coming off of Wiles Road. Vehicles will turn in to the right, kind of make a U-turn, head north. The current ramp and current containers are going to stay exactly where they are. The construction sequence of this project is going to allow us to be operational for the entire construction. Vehicles will come out here and they'll go out this new exit. There will be a gate here leading to the alley, and they'll go back out to Wiles Road just as they came in. I'll take any questions.
Any questions? Vice Mayor?
Now that I can see it better, I just have one question where you were exiting back out to Wiles Road. So that's going to be two-way traffic coming in and going out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it's going to be widened, wider than what it is now, right?
Yes, it's a 24-foot. I believe it's a 24-foot road, if I'm not mistaken.
Vice Mayor, this is a newly constructed road. This is a green space right now, so this will be newly constructed for that purpose.
Okay, thank you. I go out there every weekend to do my recycling.
Great. Any further questions? All right. I don't see any. Great. May I entertain a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Take Sean.
All right, we got Sean for the motion, Vice Mayor for the second. Any discussion? Go ahead, Sean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to applaud staff. This is a great upgrade to this space. And from a practicality standpoint, it really fits into future initiatives. And for us to be able to, work with the company that's going to be taking over that site, I just think you guys did a phenomenal job. And Mr. Norris, once again, welcome aboard. So thank you.
Awesome. Ditto. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, carries unanimously. Next is item number 16, health plan, stop loss insurance coverage.
Mayor, we carry stop loss insurance for our health plan coverage in case somebody has a catastrophic illness or injury. This is something standard that we have through Cigna, and Dale Pazra has worked on this for years and has put some highlights on this particular renewal, being that we're able to keep the increase down below what the normal increase would be. So Dale, you want to just give us a couple quick highlights on this?
Sure. Let me get myself. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. Give me 1 second. So, as the city manager indicated, we've been having stop loss coverage ever since we became a self-insured entity. We need this coverage for those catastrophic claims that exceed $325,000. It's a protection for us so that we are not on the hook, so to speak, for all the full amount of those claims beyond that level. This type of coverage does come into play usually once or twice every year or every other year, but it is a policy that we definitely need. During the RFP process we conducted last year, we looked at several alternatives and looked at giving this particular line of coverage to other businesses that specialize in it. In the end, the recommendation was to keep it with Cigna. Going through the renewal this year, along with support from Hub International, our benefits consultant, there was extensive back and forth and negotiation, and the final outcome was a renewal which is significantly lower than what the original projections were, and approximately $50,000 less than what we budgeted for the coming fiscal year. So I'd like to recommend that we move forward with this coverage so that we have it in place. It goes into effect in January, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Great. Any questions? Motion to approve? Vice Mayor? All right. Motion by Sean, and Vice Mayor, you're the seconder?
Sure.
All right. Any discussion? Good work, Dale.
Thank you.
You're keeping us in good shape every which way. And I really enjoy working with you, Dale. Thank you very, very much. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye. Nothing against Dale at all. He did great work here.
So the aye was for the opposition? No.
Opposed.
You oppose. Gotcha. 4-1. All right. So next up is the reappointment of the Public Art Committee. Item number 17.
Mayor, this is just a reappointment of Susan to the Public Art Committee, and Susan Chrisman can answer any questions should you have any.
Yes, she's been on the committee since 2010 and she has participated continually throughout, as well as being a Bloomberg Advisory Committee person as well, doing that. So she's been very helpful on the committee.
When I was on the committee, she was great. I'm not on it anymore, but she was great.
Yes.
All right. Would you like to move her, Vice Mayor?
I will move it to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sarah. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, carries unanimously. Next is item number 18. It's a request to appoint for reappointment to the Charter School Advisory Board.
Mayor, Deputy City Manager Heller is available for any questions on this item.
Right, this is a request to appoint Ray LaFever.
This is my committee, and I'd like to make the motion to reappoint him. He does a great job, and I think he's there every single time, and he asks the right questions. I know he's got a friend that might be on our commission. Commissioner Sarah, I know he's always spoken very highly of you. He's great for this committee.
Two great principles you just
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Sarah. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, Ray's a legend, and he's just a phenomenal person. And when I was a rookie principal back in the day, despite him being an elementary level, he really was a great mentor to me. And he's been a tremendous role model to so many in our district. And I'm just so happy that despite he's retired and really enjoying life, that he's still giving back to our community through the charter. So 100%. And I hope that Ray's, if he's not watching, he knows that mad respect for him.
Yeah, my kids went to Westchester and my grandson, and he's just a great leader, and he loves giving back to the community. So I'm happy to support the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, carries unanimously. Next, we have appointments to consider for the Planning and Zoning Board. There are 3 vacancies.
Yeah. Mayor, we have multiple vacancies here, and Julie Krolak will be available to answer any questions or go through anything the commission wishes.
Sure. So are there particular requirements to be on the board?
Sorry about that. Unmuting. They just have to be residents within the city. And the terms are for 2 years.
And of the 10 that are seeking to be appointed, how many are currently on the board?
3, Mr. Ian Schwartz, he's been on the board since 2009. He's our chair right now. Robert Dennis, he was appointed initially in 2017, and then Deepak Khanna was initially appointed in 2018.
Okay. Who'd like to go first in any discussion? Commissioner Sarah, I saw you first, and then Commissioner Vignola.
So I have a few comments on this one. First, I was sharing with staff, when we get the backup and the resumes, unless you have a formed relationship with them, it's really hard to pick, 1, 2, 3 out of 10, because all the resumes are pretty impressive and they did a good job answering the questions. One of the things that I'd ask staff, and I guess we could discuss this in the future, is that I would like to add a video component to it to get a feel for maybe why they want to be serving our community, and kind of get a feel for their whole professional approach to it, just so that I can put a face with a name, and then also kind of feel the passion, hopefully, in their voice to serve. The other thing is that last time that we discussed adding someone to the committee, I really feel strongly that we should have female leadership. When asked of staff today, it's my understanding that there are 5 currently serving, and they're all men. I feel strongly about that. I am the rookie on the commission still, so I'll defer to your comments and listening to what you guys think. I will say that I heard very compelling comments about Ian Schwartz as the chair. From what I understand, he's done a great job, and he's been a long time standing member. So I fully support him, at least just being one of the 3. So those are my initial thoughts, and look forward to hearing your comments as my colleagues.
Great. Commissioner Vignola next. You are muted. Now you go.
There with the wireless mouse trying to click the unmute. Listen, I think everybody's well aware how I feel about making sure that we have female leadership on all our boards and committees. I think that's of the utmost importance. I will tell you that Ian Schwartz has done an amazing job with this board for many, many years. I know we're probably going to get into some discussions on others, but hearing that Commissioner Sarah also had a favorable opinion of him, I'd like to make the motion that we appoint Ian Schwartz back to the Planning and Zoning Board.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for Ian Schwartz at this time. Any further discussion on Ian Schwartz? Commissioner Simmons, would you like to be heard? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor of Ian Schwartz being reappointed, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, carries 5-0. Further discussion on the two other openings. Vice Mayor?
So I'm sure, like the rest of you, you read all the resumes because they were very impressive. I love the comment about adding video. That's definitely would help us a lot further in determining passion levels. For the, if you don't get a phone call from some of them, I happen to have a personal relationship with Lorianne Mininoff. I met her at Broward Days. She is a very committed, dedicated volunteer. So that would be my first choice as a female. My other choice that I liked and he happens to be an incumbent, was Robert Dennis. Robert Dennis, yeah. I was very impressed with the backup that he included in his material, showing previous projects that he had worked on, and just showed the depth of his knowledge. So my choice for a female would be Lorianne Mininoff, with her dedication and due diligence, and Robert Dennis as a second.
And Julie, I have a question about Robert. Is he the only architect on P&Z currently?
Yes, he is. Okay. And he actually served also on the Architectural Review Committee before he was appointed to Planning and Zoning Board.
Okay. I'm in line with your comments, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Sarah, I saw your hand.
Yeah, just doing a little bit of research. I also heard a lot of great things about Robert Dennis. I've heard that, since he served since 2017, he's been a good representation of our city, has the background of architects. So I completely support Vice Mayor on that recommendation. And I gotta say, out of all the candidates, one reached out to me by phone, and that was Lorianne. I had a really great conversation with her last Friday. She had a lot of passion. So I fully support Vice Mayor's two recommendations.
Okay, well, Vice Mayor, would you like to make those two recommendations part of a motion?
I move to approve that we put Robert Dennis back in as the architect and Lorianne Mininoff as the female representation.
Okay, yeah, Lorianne Mininoff.
Mininoff.
Yep. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Sarah. Any further discussion on these two candidates? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, very good. Carries unanimously. Thank you all for that. We're up to Commissioner Communications. Who'd like to go first? Not Larry, he just turned off his screen. You, Vice Mayor.
I'll go first. Okay, so first thing I want to announce and say congratulations to, there is a Jason Carter, who, in the city, email address is our first initial last name. So poor Jason gets all of my emails because nobody writes to Joy Carter. But Jason was recognized as the Law Enforcement Official of the Year, recognized by Attorney General Ashley Moody for thwarting sex trafficking crimes. For 2 weeks during the Super Bowl, he worked 150 hours to break up a ring and rescued 4 young girls. It's a well-deserved award, and I'm just really proud of him as part of the Coral Springs Police Department, and I wanted to do a special shout out. Awesome. Secondly, we all know this is voting season, and I'm at the polls 7 a.m. There is a lot of people voting, but what is more exciting is the contest that we had for the importance of voting for our virtual poster contest. There was over 150 submissions for all grades and applicants. They had, the posters are featured on the city's website, which I think are amazing. And I wanted to announce the winners. And first place, Abigail Potts from Country Hills Elementary, 2nd grade. Jocelyn Isaac, Imagine School at Broward, 5th grade. Broderick Sullivan Renaissance Charter, 8th grade. Daniel Konis, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, 12th grade. That's first place. Second place, Jason Isaac, Imagine School at Broward, 1st grade. Sophia Terrier, Mary Help of Christian Catholic School, 5th grade. Madeline Nigel, Sawgrass Springs Middle School, 6th grade, Natalie Swarzak, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, 10th grade, and our third place winners, Antonella Arango, Imagine School at Broward, 1st grade, Alyssa Marchoni, Imagine School at Broward, 3rd grade, Katie Klontz, Atlantis Academy, 7th grade, and Kelsey Doon, Coral Springs Charter School, 11th grade. Thank you to all the students in Coral Springs who pushed for voting and made fabulous posters, and I hope people will take the time to go check them out on our website because they are impressive. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor, if I may, they're also going to be on display at the museum if people would like to go see them.
Didn't know that.
Right outside the museum.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats to the students. Absolutely. It's wonderful. Wonderful to promote voting. You're complete, Joy? Okay. Commissioner Simmons, I saw you wanted to go next.
No, I just wanted to just want everybody to breathe, and we're going into a very contentious last couple of weeks, and so I just want everybody to breathe. I want everybody to promote their candidates, work for their candidates, but stay away from antagonizing your opponents or anything of that nature. We have to be better in all aspects. We have to be better with who we promote, how we promote them. We have to be better in how we campaign for the folks that we support. It's upon us to make sure we hold our city and our community together. And adding into the divisiveness that's coming out of Washington and just nationally, we are better than that. I always believe in the integrity of Coral Springs and the people that are involved in Coral Springs. And I think that any opportunity that we have to be better, we should be better. And that's all I want to say. So, good night.
All right. Sounds good. Who'd like to go next? Commissioner Sarah.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for those of you that applied for the Planning and Zoning Committee, thank you for putting your name in for consideration. For those of you that got voted in, congratulations. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Deepak for his service. Obviously, we only had 3 spots, but it wasn't anything that you didn't do. It's just, we appreciate your service and giving back to our city, and look forward to having you get involved in a different way. As far as staff recognition, I always try to take a moment to, single out somebody that really has caught my attention. And I just wanted to thank Julie Krolik for all that she does as our Assistant Director of Development and Services. I just always am so impressed by you. You do a phenomenal job at what you're responsible for. And whenever we have presentations, you're always incredibly prepared and have the answers to our questions. And so just know that as a commission, we really respect you and appreciate what you do for our community. I know that our city manager, Valerie, will be talking about Halloween, so I'm not going to steal any of his thunder. But for those of you that are going out there, this is very important that we continue to remember that we are still in a state of a pandemic. That we got to do this responsibly, and we want you guys to have that experience. But once again, we don't want that to have a deeper impact on our communities. So for all of those participating in Halloween, have fun, but do it safely. You mentioned in the past that I really wanted to take an opportunity to honor Jason Stein, a longtime athletic director at JP Taravella High School. I'm asking that the commission support my idea of honoring not only his legacy, but his family at our August 2021 meeting, which will be a couple of days shy of his 1-year anniversary of his passing. I think this is incredibly important as a community, and it's also going to be important for the healing of those that are JPT. It's evident him no longer being on campus, that the culture has shifted. It's a great school, and they already have a phenomenal amount of things going on there, but he's going to be sorely missed, and I really feel strongly about doing something as a commission and as a city for him. And then also, the school is planning blood drives on November 2nd and 3rd I asked staff, specifically City Manager Babinick, if we could find a way to support that in some way, shape, or form to get the word out. Not only do we need people to donate blood for the causes that are going on right now, but also it's a great way for us to give back to that community. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, and I have to do this in 2 parts, but I know, Larry, you have another meeting. I can see that you're sitting in the chamber. I wish I was right next to you. Really, you are one of the biggest factors in why I ran. Since I met you years ago, have really done a great job, supporting the initiatives that you're passionate about. And it's pretty cool since I've been on the commission to listen to your historical perspective. I do like your insight in hearing what you have to say. In my opinion, you're going to be sorely missed and very hard to replace. And I'm going to have a second part to this, but I'm very proud of you, despite the fact that you're 10 years younger than me. You have been my mentor since I've gotten on this thing. And, it's been, like I said, a tremendous honor sitting next to you. The guy to my right's, a lost cause, but to my left, you were a winner. So thank you so much for everything that you have done for our community. And really, 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 appreciate what you have done. Not only for the educational environment, that's a piece that a lot of people don't know, is that you've led a lot of those initiatives, and you get passionate sometimes. We got to reel you in, but you know what? Your heart's in the right place, and I know that you want what's best for the kids. So this is part 1. I got another part coming next meeting. So thank you, and mad respect. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So, Sean, you're very welcome. You raised a great idea that Joy supported, and I'm wondering, does anybody have an objection to what Sean put forward about the videos for applicants? Larry?
I think, it might work for some people, but I think other people, it could be a concern. People that can't do videos and such. Look,
an option, not required. An option.
Yeah, but then are we selecting people based off the fact that they have a video? Maybe someone like Josh Simmons is very tech savvy, and someone like John Hearn is not. And since it's John Hearn Day,
we're picking on you, John.
Without the video, we picked based on resume tonight because of the qualifications. The qualifications were strong.
Commissioner Sherwood, I will tell you is there is an opportunity you can ask the city clerk's office, and you've done it for me for years, where you can get the phone numbers of everybody that applied, and you have the opportunity to call. Honestly, this time I did not call everyone that applied, but for the most part of the last 10 years, I try to reach out and call everyone who applies for boards and committees, and you could talk to them and take that opportunity. I'm against the video idea. I think some people might feel like pressured into doing it, and I think there's just a lot of other things. Maybe have staff look at it. I'm kind of against it.
Joshua first, and then Sean.
Commissioner Vignola, I completely understand your point. Everybody can't be a Joshua Simmons, and so I completely understand that. But I would give you that argument if this was pre-COVID. I think right now I've seen and been on so many. We all have so many Zoom calls with so many folks that have taken on the challenge of just understanding how video recording and video meetings and things of that nature work. So if they can't attend the meeting or things like that, I would say if the option could be, if they can't attend the meeting where they're up for appointment, that they submit a video that we could watch. I think that would help us out a lot because, I like to, I'm one of those folks where if I apply for a job, I want you at least to get the chance to talk to me, because I am not my resume. I am, my resume is a part of who I am, but when you actually talk to me and meet me and things of that nature, it's a completely, I make my resume come alive. So I think it would be a great thing to have.
Commissioner Sarah?
I love you, but I respectfully disagree.
All right, so there is no motion, at the time. So I would suggest we potentially raise it at our next meeting, Sean, if you would like. Is that okay by you, Sean?
Or two meetings.
All right.
I mean, I could raise it in 2 meetings, right?
You could raise it now if you'd like.
I think
Well,
it'd be
I'd like to raise it. I'd like to raise it and give them an opportunity to vote.
All right.
Something you guys can workshop when you get the new commissioner in. You'll have orientation. It's a good time to discuss it.
All right. There's no second at the moment, Sean.
Oh, I'd second it.
I think Vice Mayor wanted to second.
Yeah.
All right. Vice Mayor has seconded the motion to allow for video presentation
Optionally.
as an option.
Yes.
And would we put a time limit on the length of the video, Sean?
I defer to staff on that.
Maybe you guys should workshop it so staff can look at this and then come back to, I think it'd be a good idea for you guys to go ahead and workshop it and discuss it and have staff look into it. And then you guys can go ahead and make the vote. I don't think there's any board appointments coming anytime soon. You'll have the opportunity during orientation, maybe for staff to bring that back to you guys and have the discussion.
And as the author of the motion, I'm okay with that.
All right. All right. So thank you, Sean. Thank you, Larry. That motion has now been rescinded. And but Sean, you did raise something to honor Jason next August. I want to make sure we have that by acclamation so that it's clear for our city manager. So is that okay with everybody? Great. All right.
Please be back to that.
You got it.
Yeah, I'd like Commissioner Vignola invited for that too.
Sounds great. All right. So Commissioner Vignola, you're going almost last for which is rare. You usually go first or second.
No, I'm hoping maybe next week or 2 weeks from now I can go last. I just want to remind everybody that just because certain things are open and opening back up and opened up later, now is not the time to let your guard down. The number of cases are continuing to rise. We need to be diligent and careful and do all the things that we've been doing over the past 6 months to try to drop the numbers, cases of COVID. Like I said, I know it's easy. Oh, this is open now, and you know this is open late, and I see people a lot more lax with their masks and not wearing them necessarily as much as they should. I ask everybody, please be careful. It might not affect you. It might not affect someone in your family, but it might affect somebody in my family. It might affect somebody in someone else you know's family, spreading it through that way. So please make sure wear your mask when you're around people. The election coming up, I know it was touched on a little bit. I just want to remind people that you know, I think it's important that we have the right to vote here in this country, and we're very appreciative of all the men and women who have died giving us that right. But we also have a responsibility to go ahead and research the people that we're voting for. If you don't have time to research the local elected officials, a lot of them put a lot of hard work and time into these races. You don't have to vote in that race. If you're just going in to vote for president and you don't know the other races, as someone who's run a few times, you're better off skipping that race and voting for someone that maybe doesn't have the same ideas and beliefs as you. There's a lot of information about local candidates out there, city races, school board races, all those things. Please, if you're going to vote in those races, take the time to go ahead, research those people and see who best aligns with your views and visions for that entity that you're voting for. I can't tell you how many times I've heard over the years, well, I voted for that one, but I didn't know they were, you know, against me in this, or I didn't know they were that. You know, so I think it's really important that you get to understand the candidates. And a lot of people do put a lot of hard work into these races. I think for my seat, there's like 5 or 6 people that are running, and they're running hard, and they're putting a lot of time and effort into it. And I would hope that you put a little bit of time and effort into understanding, you know, and pick the best candidate. And yeah, and with that, I want to wish all the candidates running for office luck. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I am very thankful every time I drive by the library that I am not out there anymore, that I don't ever have to do that again. And although it is kind of crazy during whatever, I will tell you, I have made a lot of friends out there. So like Commissioner Simmons said, let's keep it cool. Let's keep it collected. Let's, you know, all get along. I know one of the things we used to do in my campaign, we buy pizza for everybody on the weekends. Didn't matter if you were my opponent, didn't matter who you were running for, whatever. And just try to, you know, we're all working hard and fighting for what we believe in. And just because you might not agree with the other person doesn't mean that you're right and they're wrong. It just means you have different beliefs, and we got to respect our differences, especially this time of year. So yeah, I want to wish all the candidates running for office all the best. I wish you all the luck and the energy and the sore legs, and hopefully it'll be worth it for you in the end. But if you don't win, especially the people running for this commission, this board, there are a lot of other ways that I hope you stay involved and are committed to our community. And speaking of committed to our community, and I'm getting kind of like sad as time goes on with me leaving this seat. I know it's like I feel like this is the longest goodbye in history. And I'm gonna have to write a speech for the next one. But I just, I know Commissioner Sarah talked about recognizing a staff member. I love you guys, man. You guys are awesome. You guys work your butts off day in and day out. And I think, someone who grew up here in Coral Springs and I moved here right before kindergarten, and all the benefits I had of being a member of this community. And I don't think I would be where I am. I don't think my parents and their business, if it wasn't for choosing Coral Springs, would be where we are without all the wonderful people that have worked here and all the hard work that you do. You do make an impact in everyone's lives. And honestly, I didn't realize that before. And now being on the inside, I realized it. And yeah, thank you guys. And I know I can't thank everybody individually. And then in a couple of weeks, I won't be able to either. But honestly, you guys are the best. And we're very, very lucky to have each and every one of you, from our city manager and city attorney all the way on down, and including our city commission. You guys, although we might not always agree on things, everyone's heart's in the right place, and I do appreciate working with you guys, and I am going to miss you. So yeah, and then speaking of missing, it's been 2 years this week since Mayor Skip Campbell passed away, and was just thinking about that a little bit, and I do miss him. And it's weird. Here's a guy that he came in office, and him and I went kind of back and forth a little bit on quite a bit of issues, but over time we really, I think our friendship kind of took off. And the first day of school in 2018, he came to my daughter's school and my wife's school, and we were greeting kids at the front, or he was greeting kids at the front. I was really saying goodbye to my wife and my daughter. And afterwards, we went around. We went to my wife's class. We went to some other classes together. We did the morning announcements together. And we sat in the parking lot and talked. Probably longer than we would have liked, because it was not a cool day out in August in South Florida. But he really was just a tremendous person. Agree or disagree on politics and stuff, he really was a tremendous person. And I feel like I kind of took him for granted a little bit sitting up here. But I do miss him, and I can't wait till we go ahead and do the ceremony. And I hope that we do hopefully we'll be able to do St. Patrick's Day this year and do Mayor Skip Campbell Day. Yeah. Anyway, I know it's been a long night. Wish everybody well. If you'd like to reach me, my number is 954-632-7544. I will be holding November office hours, because apparently the swearing in ceremony is a little later. I've been doing it this long. Why not? Anyone wants to come in and join? I think at that point, actually, for my November, I think 10th office hours, by that point, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. City Attorney, I believe I could talk to members of this commission about anything I want at that point.
Yeah, as long as you're not going to vote on it.
which is pretty interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone, and hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
Great. And by all means, next time you can go last, Larry. And thank you again for your service and for your heart and your commitment to our community, and for speaking your mind, and not being afraid to dissent, and being prudent enough to sometimes just say, I dissent. I have a lot of respect for you, Larry. So both because of what you said, Joshua and Larry, I want to share something on the back of the card that they gave you when you went to Skip's funeral. This is a very challenging time for most people. For many people, it's maybe the most challenging time in their lives. Because many people aren't just dealing with the pandemic, they're dealing with financial loss, they're dealing with mental health issues, insecurity on different levels. So, and I also miss Mayor Campbell. And like I said, every time I'm here, he's on my desk as I have the honor to complete his term, unfortunately, because he died prematurely. But on the back it says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, and accepting hardship as a pathway to peace. We don't have to agree to be kind. We don't have to agree with one another on all points in order to be kind to and with one another. We don't have to have the same color skin or the same party affiliation to share love and to share things in common. We have differences on our commission, and we're here all to support our 130,000 residents with an unbelievable team. And despite the pandemic, we couldn't be more fortunate than to work with the team that we have on every level. So I know we tend to highlight one person or another for different things. And Susie Chrisman, I've worked with you for many, many years. And you're here still after all this time. And you give so much to our city. So I just want to say thanks to you, Susie. So I just got a couple more things. A few of us were at Coral Glades Media Center for their opening. It was beautiful. It was safe. And very proud of Coral Glades and everything they've done in the short span of time that they became a school. Jim Donnelly shared with me the other day that he had shared an idea at the Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee about having another school in that area. So I'm not sure if it certainly emanated from him. I know at one point the city donated the land. At one point we were committed to reducing overcrowding, and we have 5 great high schools in our midst, and I feel very blessed. Frank, can you share a little bit, or have staff share a little bit about what's happening for Veterans Day?
Yes, sir. I have that as part of my brief.
And I'll wait until that time. You can connect with me during my office hours. They're typically every Friday from at least 12 to 1, often from 12 to 1:30. You can contact Luam, who does an amazing job for all 5 of us, 954-344-5911. The best email to reach me at is sbrook@coralsprings.org. And I know a lot of times you'll try to tag me or write to me on Facebook. There is no official Facebook for the mayor. And the best way to preserve what you're requesting is to send me an email, please, at sbrook@coralsprings.org. Usually in October, there's mention, I see, feel, sense, whatever, Lisa Bocard and her impact in our community for breast cancer awareness, and with the Breast Cancer Foundation that has her name. And I just wanted to say thank you to Lisa for everything you've done for our community. You're not here physically, but I know you're here spiritually, and you made a difference for so many women in our community. And I appreciate the efforts of your brother and everybody on the board to keep that going. I'm hoping that we will have a race in your honor next year. That's one of my goals, and I just want to, give you my thoughts and my appreciation. Lastly, I just urge everybody, go vote, get educated, get informed. If you haven't voted already, you can vote early for the next almost 2 weeks from this past Monday up until next couple of weeks before the Tuesday election. I'm about to drop mine off tomorrow. I think, this is maybe, whatever it is, it's certainly a historic election because during COVID, but there's nothing like having your voice be heard, and we live in the best country. So God bless everybody, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple things. This past Monday, October 19th, marked the 1 year since the death of firefighter paramedic Chris Randazzo. The fire department welcomed Chris's family over to the public safety building in a very small ceremony where we dedicated a tree and a plaque in front of Fire Station 80 in his honor. They were deeply moved by the gesture, deeply appreciative, and they asked me to share to with the commission their appreciation and thanks for memorializing Chris in that manner. This Sunday also marks the 1 year since the sudden passing of our range master and retired Sergeant Bob Behan. Chief Perry and the Behan family are privately hosting a ceremony to dedicate our training facility in honor of Bob's contribution to the community, the department, and the members of the organization. The loss of Chris in such a violent and senseless way and the sudden death of Bob were both very painful for the families, city staff, and our community. And as Commissioner Vignola mentioned, it's been 2 years since the passing of Mayor Campbell. I don't know if it would be appropriate or if you would honor a request to maybe just hold a moment of silence and remembrance of these folks that were public servants.
I'm happy to do that right now, Frank. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, we continue to closely monitor COVID-19. As Commissioner Vignola said, we've seen some creeping up in the cases. We're watching kind of what's going on, but we definitely have seen a rise in both the positivity rate and the cases. Hospitals are still doing well. We're not over that 5% positivity rate at this point, but we will continue to monitor that and obviously adjust appropriately as needed. We do ask the public to remain vigilant, continue to wear your mask, continue to social distance, continue to wash your hands, and all the good stuff that the CDC's put out there for us to do. And we need to continue to protect our vulnerable population. That's really, really important. This week is Florida League of Cities, Florida City Government Week. We've been highlighting our areas of operation using videos that were actually created pre-COVID on social media all week. And tomorrow we'll be hosting a live trivia about the city of Coral Springs on our city's Facebook page. So we invite those to participate. The Monster Splash at Cypress Pool is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The event is sold out. We are excited for the residents that have reservations. We hope they enjoy it, and hopefully this is a safe and unique way for them to participate in some type of Halloween event. The city's police department, along with the city, we're very excited. We're going to be doing Cops and Kids Trick or Treat at City Hall Garage from 5:30 to 7:30 on Halloween. So if you're looking for a safe way to trick or treat, bring the kids by in costume. Our police officers will be lined up in the garage handing out candy. The participants will stay in the cars, and the officers will be obviously using proper protective equipment. But that's a safe way for you to do a drive-through event with your kids to trick or treat. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to coralsprings.org events, and you can learn more about that. We're still awaiting an answer from the county on our CARES Act funding. We're hoping to get that answer tomorrow. We're ready to go to be able to put money back into the community for our residents and businesses as soon as we get the okay to do so, but we're still waiting on that. Veterans Day, Mayor, our Parks Department's working to finalize the arrangements and speakers for the ceremony. It'll be held as a hybrid event on Veterans Day. We'll have an announcement soon with the details and all the information. The Coral Springs Garden Club is doing a 5-star plaque to commemorate our city's veterans, which will be installed at Veterans Park soon. They have a little bit of a delay due to the weather, but I know they're working on that, and that'll be there to honor our veterans for Veterans Day.
That's great, Frank.
And then the last thing I have, Mayor, is we're working on finalizing the plans for a Thanksgiving food drive to help our community and those in need for the Thanksgiving holiday. We look to help somewhere between 350 and 400 families to receive some food for the Thanksgiving holiday. So that'll be taking place. It looks like on November 21st here at City Hall. It'll be a drive-through food distribution. We'll have more information on that coming soon, but we're always looking for ways to get back to our community. And now more than ever, it's so important And I look forward to joining our city commission as we distribute these meals along with city staff to the community. And we'll have more information on that. Thank you, Mayor.
That sounds great. Thank you, Frank. All right, John.
I just have one item, Mayor. That is, and I talked to each one of you about walking through a resolution. This is 2020-059, which I'll read in a second. We did a referendum, a resolution opposing the proposed referendum of the county, which would encroach on our home rule. Currently, the county charter provides that municipal ordinances prevail within municipal boundaries over conflicting county ordinances, except in 3 areas. That's areas of minimal environmental standards, land use, and ethics. The current referendum, which is going on November 3rd, would allow county ordinances related to use of county-owned or county-leased property with surtax-funded transportation improvements to prevail over our municipal ordinances. We, along with several of the municipalities who've already passed this resolution, believe we should retain the permitting and regulation in our own cities. So in order to protect our home rule, Mayor, I have Resolution 2020-059, which is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, opposing the approval of proposed county charter amendment on the November 2020 ballot that would allow county ordinances to supersede city zoning and other regulations for county projects within municipalities involving surtax-funded transportation improvements, authorizing and directing the city clerk to transmit a copy of this resolution to the appropriate officials and providing for an effective date. So I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Simmons. Discussion. Home rule.
No discussion for me. But I do have one thing I would like to say after the city attorney finishes, please. One thing.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Sure. Commissioner Simmons?
Real quick, sorry, y'all. I know we're trying to get out of here. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to State Representative Dan Daly. He and I teamed up to work on the situation that was brewing in Ramblewood East with the fact that Royal Waterworks was going to shut off the water to 3,000 residents in that community. Like literally the day before they shut them off, I was able to jump on I was able to send a bunch of emails back and forth. I know Frank and John were on them, where I got them to at least wait a week. And then we all got on the phone, kept going back and forth between the water district and the HOA, trying to make sure we got a deal done. And then I had a final phone call with Royal Waterworks and the president of the HOA, I think a couple of days ago, and finally got them to make an agreement to where they're on a payment plan and they should be rolling forward so that we completely staved off Royal Waterworks from shutting off the water to 3,000 folks, many of who can no longer pay their rent or anything like that because of COVID. And so we're just trying to, we worked them over. And so we got that done. I just want to update you guys on that. One thing that I wanted to actually bring up to you all with that is when we talk about our legislative plan, we really should come up with a strategy how to get up to the state level and work on something where we can have some type of control, if you will, or some type of force for us when we have negligent water districts or anything like that, or we can hash out all the issues that came out of the situation, but it raised a number of concerns that I would love for John, Frank, and all of us to sit down and figure out what's the best plan of attack if we ask certain legislative policies to be pushed forward in Tallahassee. So just want to update you all on that.
Frank?
Mayor, just one more quick reminder. Our next meeting would typically be a morning meeting. However, it's the day after elections. So our next meeting, November 4th, is going to be at 6:30 p.m. So it's going to be a night meeting rather than a morning meeting, just for the commission and the community as a reminder.
I'll still be hungover.
Thank you.
Still be what?
I'll still be hungover.
So we will see you all on November 6th at 6:30. Have a happy and safe Halloween. Good night, everybody.
Can get out.